spend some time with the dead.
On demand almost. We'd be like, hey, can you like touch the duck or make it go off? And it would just start lighting up and going crazy.
Why should we be afraid of you?
Hello and welcome to What Goes Bump Tonight. I'm your host, Riley Clark. Alongside me today, as always, is
Trevor Jensen.
and our special guest, Creepy Confidential.
What's up, creeps?
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Auga, auga. We are so excited though, for real. So I'm going to go off on a limb here really quick and then just say, I love your podcast. I absolutely adore it. You do such a good job explaining the facts. You do such a good job with the research, and it is so
I'm a
refreshing.
nerd.
I love it. That's exactly how we are. We
We're just
immediately will
giant
dive into
nerds.
it and be like, oh my God, did you know about this? Or did you hear about that? And then it's like, oh, here
Love
we
it.
go. I'm
Yep.
in a loophole now.
And before you know it, 4 weeks later, you're still in books. Yep.
How many years have we done this now? 4. We still talk about some of the first things that we ever talked about. And it's like, dude, I have new ideas now on that same topic.
We need to go back.
Yeah. And then I start thinking, oh, do we reuse that content? Or do we is it fair to our viewers to bring up old things that
That's
we've
what we hash
already
things in
that we've
part
already
two.
talked about?
Absolutely. It's like an extension. It's like when you get downloadable content on a game, like
Oh yeah, like some
you're
DLC.
expanding it.
Yep.
So absolutely. Because you might have a little tidbit that they didn't know about. And now it's just going to make them go down another rabbit hole. So absolutely.
I do love that. All right. So with your newest episode that was just released today, The Weight of the Soul.
Yes, the 21 grams experiment.
How
Absolutely.
do you feel about it personally? Do you put your stock in that and that there might be some merit to it? Or do you think it's like, that's interesting, but like kind of hoopla?
I don't think it's hoopla,
Okay.
but I have a very kind of, as we were chatting, I have a very science brain and not
Yep.
like a come up with things sort of brain. And while I appreciate that a science man was willing to step outside of those rules and be like, I can prove this. Like if this because of this, then this. It was an equation to him. Now the experiment itself, you can't have six patients and,
Right.
and
That
claim
is
your
not
whole thing
enough.
on it. But he didn't have time. He didn't have time. And I think that then they published it before he knew about it in the journals. So they kind of like went behind him. I don't know if it was like scandal, essentially, like let's
Right.
publish this and see if we can get people talking. Or was it a matter of like he just wanted to put it to the side? I can appreciate the science side of it.
I
And
do
then
too.
the paranormal investigator part of me that really enjoys that is like, is that what we're seeing? Or
Right.
is it when we see, a mist, or when we see like tangible evidence, not like
Yep.
I feel it's this or this. I'm talking like you look over there, there's a person standing there.
It's like, yo, that's a
Or-
shadow. It's looking at me.
Yeah, and it's looking at me. And then why are some of them white? Why are some of them dark? Like, does this mean something? So I think that there's merit. I just think that he kind of went about it in a weird way.
Like
Like-
a 60s kind of way.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing.
In a 1901 sort of way.
Yeah. Like a very old.
Yeah, I think
Because that's what it was. This was the Edwardian era. So science was huge, spiritualism was huge. So I'm sure he was getting inundated with all of this new information and people trying to prove it. So maybe that could have been part of it. Was he part of a discussion somewhere where he was like, let's there's something to this. And
Right.
he just didn't get a chance to prove it. I mean, he was people didn't hang around to be 105 back then.
Right. I always wonder too, like me and Riley will sit here all the time when we're just not even not even like recording or interviewing anybody, and we'll be like, hey man, like, do you think this is possible? Or like my fun thing is like, so this man came up with the idea to run this experiment to see what the soul weighs, right?
Right.
Where does he come up with that idea? Like, what is he just sitting back one day, like drinking his tonic, and he's like, Jimmy, I have it.
I have it. Well, and that's what was interesting was, and within the editorial section of the medical journal, and it's kind of like the doctors kind of exchanging thoughts or talking smack, I'll say. It's kind
Yeah.
of like the comment section, essentially. It talks about a physiologist from the
Mhm.
late 1800s where he had a talk, and that was kind of, he started the idea, but no one raised their hand to discuss it. Was he there? Did he read about it? Like, what made him think of this idea? I mean, granted, there's a lot of death. I think it's the
Oh yeah.
TB era, and that's just another pandemic of a different time. And
If not
I think
worse
it
than now.
was, oh, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, so bad, but like TB.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. This wasn't, there was no escape from it. Like it's amazing how it transcended, just like you couldn't run from it.
Mm.
It's, it was crazy. So I think that between mortality being very close in his sights
Lots of
to maybe hearing this guy, talk, this fellow doctor,
Yeah.
I think it sparked. I think it's no different than us going down a rabbit hole. Oh my gosh, I read
It
this
is way
thing and
too
now I have
easy
to know.
to.
Yeah, that's
Only
I feel like
he had that doctor brain, and I think he wanted to prove it.
Right. Well, I mean, what else can you say other than like most doctors want to be accredited and like you want to leave your
Yeah.
legacy and it's like, yeah, I was just another doctor, another surgeon, but wait a minute,
Mhm.
I'm Dr. Fauci and I was the leading scientist.
you gotta remember the
Well,
time
we talk
period
about
too.
that
Like,
one.
pretty much every doctor back then was like a superstar, right? If you
Oh,
found
rock
some
stars,
new
yeah.
cure or something,
Absolutely.
like
And
you
what's
were
crazy is,
everywhere.
like, they weren't even doing crazy things other
No,
than
penicillin was so
administering.
funny how they found it.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy, but because they had some knowledge on what to do, a lot of
Mhm.
people couldn't even read, let alone heal themselves. So I
Right.
just I don't know. I part of me wants to think that he was onto something, but remember, he didn't necessarily want this thing published.
Right.
So I don't necessarily think this was part of his legacy. I think it was just curiosity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
So,
wanted to know.
with that all being said, I want to flip-flop just a little bit. So, we have all of this literature throughout history. There's tons of history recorded, but there are pieces of history that are missing that were destroyed, say, like through the Crusades and whatnot.
Right.
And we are now finding out that there's tunnels underneath the pyramids, underneath the Sphinx. There's sealed rooms that we've never been able to look into that now scientists are saying, well, they might have the answers in
Right.
these
They're like, well,
places.
damn, what do we do now?
Or
Yeah.
the Vanya manuscript is also another really, really interesting one that I think me and Riley are probably going to cover, which I don't know if you've ever heard of the Vanya manuscript.
I haven't. If it's something I probably glazed over that my brain just doesn't remember.
Maybe, but it
Possible.
is an Italian like parcel that has a language that is like basically a dead language that nobody can transcribe. And what they believe is like in this book is like recordings of history that are like the missing links to where like evolution or advancements in like technology for the ages and whatnot. Because I think it dates back to like, oh God, I want to say like early 1600s is what they were saying, and it's undecipherable, like I said. So all that information could be sitting right in front of us, but we won't have
Right.
access to it. And it's like, oh my God, that makes my brain just go,
Yeah.
Well,
What's crazy though is like 1600s, like we think, oh my God, that was so long ago. Relative, it's not really that long ago.
It's not.
We have recorded history that we can pull up a fossil and it's millions of years
Mhm.
old. So this manuscript is only 400 years old,
Yep.
and
In retrospect, it
it's not
actually
that
isn't
far
that old.
away. When really we can't find, think about like the Mayans and the Aztecs. We haven't actually found them. Like
No.
some mass grave, we see a structure. We know that they
The
did
superhighway
things.
too that they just discovered that
Where
links
are they?
most of the civilizations.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they figured something out. Poof, they're gone. Come on.
Yeah,
Like,
like I don't.
their culture is extremely interesting because they were constantly at war with one another. So
right. Like never ending.
like
Mhm.
never ending battle for power. One city would take power and
And then it would
everyone
fall.
follow suit, and then the
Mhm.
next one would come in and take power and they would follow suit, and then it would just continue over and over again.
Right.
And
It
sometimes
became what your father's
Mm.
sons do. Like it never
yeah,
stopped.
and it was all bloodline stuff.
Mhm.
So it was like if you were born poor and didn't have anything and weren't part of like the royal blood, like
The
you
royal.
seriously though, like you
Yeah.
wouldn't be a king, you wouldn't have any power, you would just be a servant to them.
It cracks me up to think that that still is kind of a thing, like with royal bloodlines in other countries. It's
It
like,
is.
how
It's crazy.
It's
does that make sense?
right. Like,
It's wrong.
tell me how that
Obviously.
maths. Like,
Yeah,
it
how
doesn't
that
make
maths.
sense.
I have to shout out Mr. Dog though in the chat. Anunnaki is one of the most interesting, like, just all around topics that we've explored that I think not enough people know anything about because it really, really, really pertains to, oh, we were most likely visited by a more intelligent race of beings that helped us along where we were at when they came. And then the fact that you have all these, like, I guess you could call them religious texts and whatnot that speak of these angelic beings that
Yeah,
have
to
these
them it
extended
was
heads.
religion though. Like it is
Mhm.
religious. To them, you see something crazy and there's no explanation. So therefore
Exactly.
it
We
takes
say
them
that
as
all the
God.
time. Like when you see something that you don't understand or that you've never seen before, how do you comprehend that? How do you go, I
Yeah.
know what that is? You don't.
It's out of this world. It's
Mhm.
completely it's in the paranormal
And
box.
yeah, and if you're religious, you're going to mark it down as a religious
Well, your
Right.
brain will draw the
experience.
parallels wherever it can
It's
find
either
them.
evil or it's good.
Yep.
Like it seems to like there's no middle ground. We try and put it in a box.
So do you believe in aliens?
Oh yes.
Of
Yes.
course.
I've seen a flying saucer when I was little.
I
And
gotta hear about it now.
yeah.
I
So we were
gotta.
living, so there we were. I used to live in Texas, and when I was growing up, which is very funny, a Wisconsinite with a Texas accent. But anyway, we lived in a little town called Paris, Texas. And you
Mhm.
know how they have those water towers in a lot of the smaller towns?
Yeah.
And it had like the little Paris tower and it said Paris. And
Ours
my
has a
mom and
smiley
I
face.
my mom and I were driving, and I remember I was little. So this had to be like 3rd grade, 4th grade, but I was
Mhm.
already a nerd. And I looked up and mom saw it and it was kind of this perfect, like, the little shape like
Yeah.
this, like a horizontal flying saucer from viewing. And
Mhm.
mom and I looked up and it literally went and it just took off. There is no possible way that any sort of aircraft that we have that we know of coming from a veteran um,
Heck yeah.
can do that. It's just
So your
there's no
mom
way.
distinctly saw it too and like,
Oh yeah, because it's
"Hey."
one of those like she looked at me
Oh,
and I
no.
looked at mom and she's like, "Did you see that?" Like she's trying to just make sure that she's on
She's
track.
not
I
crazy.
I immediately
Talking to
think of
a
that
3rd
Weird Al
grader.
Yankovic song where it's like, "You look at me, I look at you." It's like I don't know if you've ever heard that one, but yeah,
Yes.
immediately.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Immediately. And that was like the first time. And then it was like you just went a wrong business, but it's stuck in my head.
Yep.
Like I'm 39 and I still remember it. And
Mhm.
uh and then time goes by and I remember being in like middle school. I remember I was when I went I was confirmed and they take you out on this camping trip in
Yep.
the Lutheran thing. I don't know if you've ever had to do that, but I did.
We did Bible
And
study after school every Wednesday, so, like, I did Bible vacation and things like that, so I understand
yeah.
it.
So it's like part of like the like bring all the kids together, let's teach them that kind of thing. But they take you out in the middle of nowhere to this campground.
Yep.
And then at night, us kids were just allowed to like wander about.
Yeah, they're just
And
like, "Hey, free range kids, we're doing our
free
stuff now."
range. And I'm sure they're, who knows what all these kids were doing.
I mean,
But
we
I
were
had
stealing
I had
towels
my
when people were
fellow
showering,
yeah,
so, like, it was
right?
bad.
So this had to be like 8th grade, right around there. And I had my fellow nerd buddy of mine,
Mhm.
her and I were walking around at night and we look up and same thing, but it's at night. And same shape, same
That's
everything.
wild.
Not a falling star, as I've seen a gajillion falling stars.
Yep. Meteors are
Especially
very easy to tell.
they're very easy to tell. They have a very familiar shape. This was different. And then her and I are sitting there as 8th graders having a conversation about aliens.
And
So
then just so happens
They're real.
it's very interesting. Yeah. And then now I'm terrified of like the movies that show like the Greys. Oh, there's like a big 80s movie. I can't remember what it was.
oh,
But he like
um,
comes out from the closet and he's got the eyes and everything.
I know the
Ugh,
movie you're
ugh,
talking
I'm not
about.
ugh.
sure, but
You stay out of
the
my
name's
house. It's
like
like spiders. You're outside, that's cool. You come in my house,
Yeah,
You're gonna eat
no.
my friends. You know,
I don't
like-
even like them outside. I'll like flamethrow every single one of them if I could.
Best alien
'em.
movie is Signs.
Signs by far is my
100%.
favorite.
Oh my, yes. The
Yeah.
whole movie, I'm like, what the hell's going
Wait,
on?
Wait, I
And
have
then
to. Every time I
as
hear
soon as
signs.
it flashes, yeah. Oh yes, I was. Huh, you know, it's the jump scare, but
That scene in
that
particular
sits in
did
my
it for me.
mind. Rent
That's the one that
free.
did it.
I hate that part.
How do you feel about crop circles then? Do you think that's a bunch of like people doing it, or do you actually think that it is maybe potentially like some alien?
I don't, because you're able to prove it. You know, like you're able to prove how it's done. It can be done with a 2x4 and some rope.
Yeah,
So
it's not hard to do it.
it's not hard to do. You can do very intricate designs, and if it's in crop, you know, crop fields, they have perfect rows. You know, you're from corn-fed areas, you understand.
Mhm.
There's perfect rows. You can get in and get out, and no one would know that you're there. So I don't think crop circles are real. I just don't
Yeah,
think it doesn't make sense to me. It just
I'm right
doesn't
there
make
with
sense.
you. Like I want to believe it's real because it's
For
really
sure.
cool, and some of them are really intricate. So it's like somebody really put a
It's
lot of
just-
time into it.
It's art. It's
It's
just
Yeah.
art.
Well, and now we have
It's never been
drones.
aliens.
So you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now we have drones, so you can literally just put a drone to hover mode and then look at what you're doing above you. It's
Right.
not
And be
hard
like,
to do
hey,
it.
you go 10 feet this way, 10 feet this way.
Yeah, it's
But
not.
It just makes no sense. Why would some like alien creature do that?
Not only that, we know
Unless they are creating art,
everybody-
unless that's art to them. Like,
everybody
I
in
stand
this
corrected,
chat, I know
but-
for a fact, drew big old penises in the snow. When there's snow on the ground. If you didn't do that, you didn't live.
You didn't hey, I didn't have the way to.
Maybe I was
I'm
just a
not
weirdo
sticking
where
my
it's
pieces
like,
in parts in snow. Are you kidding me?
like,
I don't know how
Well,
cold it gets in
this is
Michigan,
me.
but Wisconsin's like -20 sometimes. Get
Yeah,
out of
Michigan
work.
gets pretty damn cold. I think me and Riley, hockey players, though, are like used to it. So it's like,
No, I
whatever.
hate the cold. Don't
Well, I
let
mean,
it
I'm
go.
not saying
hate
I
it.
like it.
Yeah, and I think about it too. There's also, I don't know if you guys have watched videos. So if you put like sand on frequencies,
Mhm.
it makes particular shapes, right? Like
Yeah.
very geometric shapes. So at one point I kind of put those two pieces of information together. Like, well, what if this is some sort of vibration that's causing these very specific geometric shapes? But it's just so easy to duplicate. So I can't put it in the real box.
Yeah.
For
reason I
silly.
stopped believing it actually happened when I was a kid because the Travel Channel would do crop circle shows,
Circles.
and then they would show people making them. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, well, then it's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, I realized that. I'm like, well, people can make them. It's not real.
See,
When
and
I see
had-
somebody prove to me that aliens didn't build the pyramids by like taking a group of people and building the fucking pyramids, I won't believe that.
Right.
Like, I'm so mad. Like I grew up and there's lots of music in our house, and
Mm.
dad had this box set, and it's Led Zeppelin and it's CDs, and it has crop circles on the top of it.
Mhm.
And I remember just looking at that for the longest time, and that's honestly what sparked leading to looking into crop circles, was because of this Led Zeppelin box of
That's
all
awesome.
things.
I got into like the whole like there's demonic sounds that if you play Stairway to Heaven backwards, that you'll be
Backwards.
like,
Oh, during the demonic, what was it called? Satanic
the
Panic.
Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was such a big deal. And I'm like, yeah, you can play anything backwards and it's gonna sound demonic. I mean, yeah, I get it. There was just a reason for people to be like, I don't want my little Susie listening to Black Sabbath.
Oh my
Like,
god,
Or watching
on.
Harry Potter or reading Harry Potter.
dude, I can't.
There's
I
crazy
can't.
stuff everywhere. Like, I don't
My
know.
daughter last night in the car was just like hanging out, and I was like, dude, I gotta work on this alien video that I'm gonna show everybody. And she goes, aliens are from space, Dad. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, they came here to pick up people and bring them back to space, and then they go party.
That's terrifying. Oh, to partying?
I was
What
like,
kind of
what?
party?
You heard it here first.
I was like, and
Alex,
she's
they better
4.
have whiskey there. 'Cause-
And I was like, a 4-year-old just told me that she's gonna go party with aliens.
but kids do that kind of stuff. So another side note about that. Me as a kid, like you can already tell I'm a little strange, but I'm not that
Are we
strange.
not?
I know, like, we're all a little weird. So I was like, it's the same. Also, I was still in Texas, so I was probably like kindergarten,
Mm.
and my parents say that they were going through the McDonald's drive-through to get some French fries or whatever.
Yeah.
And mom turns around, they were practicing my numbers. And they asked me how old I was. And I looked mom square in the face and said, I'm 99. I didn't even know the number 99.
Just dead ass. I'm 99.
Like straightforward. And mom said from that day, I was like, I don't know who else is in there, but there's somebody in there that's 99.
I love
and
that.
I can only
That's so
imagine.
funny.
Can you imagine having mom and dad in the front seat of an 87 Bonneville and the little kid in the back seat goes, I'm 99. Like, and I don't believe in reincarnation, you know, personally,
man.
but
You're all
that's pretty
reincarnated.
crazy.
It's hard to
We're all
say.
kind of recycled at some point, but
It's even funny too, because like my daughter, I think it was on an episode too. She was sitting there and she was talking like behind us, and then all of a sudden she goes, I saw a scary deer once, and we were like literally the day before talking about Wendigos and like skinwalkers, and I was like, oh my
you're like,
god,
oh, no.
dude. I was
You're
like,
gonna
what are we
create another
teaching
Miss
her?
Creep. Here I was in the library looking up cryptids and ghosts, and I was like,
That's gonna be
a
fun.
wee little kid.
Oh, I can already tell that
She's
I'm
been
gonna
watching
get.
ghost show. Her favorite show to watch when
Ghost
she was one was Ghost Adventures.
I can already tell I'm gonna get phone calls from other parents. They'll be like, "You keep your kid away from mine."
Right? That means they're just right.
Exactly. She's exactly how I wanted
She's
her to
just
be.
gotta
All
find. She's just gotta find her flock. That's all.
right. So let's segue before we get too far on a tangent.
Of course.
Speaking of sheeple, I want to hear what everybody's opinion on this Las Vegas UFO crash and alien sighting
Oh
is.
my God, Mr. Creep has been. He's the one who brought it up, and now he's the one wwho's got me thinking about it. So
I have a 7-minute long video to show you.
a 7 minutes. Okay.
On as much as I could on it.
The problem. So again, there's too much technology nowadays.
I know.
Too much. Anybody can literally take their cell phone, go
Yep.
out, shoot XYZ
In
put some
4K
stuff
too,
on it in
probably.
4K and make it look extremely detailed.
But here
Only
we
to
are
put it on
looking
the
at
internet.
toaster vision.
And then most videos that we actually want to see, they look like they've been filmed on a potato.
Yep.
Like,
yeah,
Yep.
Why?
9 out of 10. I'm like,
it's so true. Someone captures Bigfoot. It was filmed on a potato.
actually,
Yeah.
there was a recent video where somebody caught the back of what they say to be a Bigfoot walking through the woods. I forgot where. Somebody literally just told me about it this morning while I was at work, and I was like, "Oh shit, I don't have time to make a video on that.
there's not enough time.
I scrambled for the last one."
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bring
so
it up.
I want to, as with that,
Vegas Metro Police
I wanna
officer's
bring it up.
body cam catches
There we go.
Yeah. So I haven't actually seen this video yet.
You haven't? So
No,
it's a
I
bunch
haven't
of
had a chance.
it's a like collage of all the different stuff that I found. So it's like news videos, journalists that aren't journalists that go and talk to the people that had this happen to them,
Of course.
accounts from the people that had this happen to them, and then the actual footage and whatnot. So it's pretty interesting.
Okay, well, good. I
Yeah,
have
there's
to-
also parts where there's like not speaking, so we can discuss it.
Right. Talk amongst yourselves.
midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro Police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
There's like an 8-foot
Kinda
person
looks pretty
beside it,
legit.
and another one's inside
It's
it, and it
not
has
the
big eyes
actual
and looking at
video.
us, and it's still there.
What's going on there?
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we
So there's two-
terrified of it.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like
Okay.
8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes,
Okay.
like I can't explain it, and big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
And then this is another video of the falling object.
Here, hold on. I got to turn this off so I can see this.
You're good. It is, I was gonna say I had to circle it because at first I couldn't find it, and I was like, "Oh, I see."
Oh, okay.
That looks like a falling star.
Yeah, I would say to
Does
me,
look
it
like a comet or something.
like the way
With a
its tail
trail.
is and the
Yeah.
way it plumes towards the end. It's like
It
that's
looks like a
interesting.
comet.
It does have an odd color though.
Because if it's far, but you don't know what it's made out of. Different
100%.
elements, different
Mhm.
elements will make it do that.
Yeah, like
And-
phosphorus burns blue.
Right. And there you get all kind of different things. Plus, you can't tell how far away this is.
Not at all.
So
Yeah.
is it going through different parts of
maybe
the
don't
atmosphere
get
that's making it, like pick up
Mhm.
speed.
Yeah, and then, like, if it's taking in oxygen as it's, like, burning up, it's going to, like, flare. Like, you're gonna
Right.
see that flash.
Yeah.
This is the actual footage where they see something in there, but I swear to God, they have a toaster in their hand.
They always run. Just keep it on there.
I know.
Oh, ay, Dios mío.
Do it for the booze.
The funny thing is, when I looked for the translation of it, it's not complete Spanish.
That's common though. If, like, you,
Yeah, it's like native and Spanish.
cállate. They're telling him to shut up.
Yeah, they're just like,
Cállate.
dude, stop it.
Oh, it's so fast. Usually I can understand it.
So, yeah, like if you look on the where it's circled right here above the red truck.
Now you've got me intrigued. Way to go.
I know it. I was so intrigued too.
It's your
But
fault.
to me, I honestly can't really see anything. They say they see it blinking at them and whatnot, but like
I don't
it's
even
pretty
see anything.
stagnant. If you look, if you look in the left part of it, that's what it's supposed to see. But I was like, where? I mean, I can see it where you're saying, but it's not moving. It's not doing anything.
Oh, okay. It looks.
It
Like a
looks like
person.
it almost looks like a head is popped out and looking back,
Yeah.
but it is like here. I'll do it with the mouse really quick. So like right here, like you see the circle in the
I'm
middle,
looking there.
but yeah, it's right there. But it doesn't really move.
That's way too obscure.
That's what I said. I was like, it's so. But this is where it gets a little more obscure and weird to me because, like, now that we're into the aftermath of it, the cops are there. The journalist comes and talks to him. He's like under silence, and then it's just like the whole like aftermath of it is weird.
That's HOA measuring the grass. That's funny. Female voice on the phone.
My name's Doug Pop. I'm a journalist. I'd like to talk to you. You the guys that called in, something fell from the
Why does it
sky
sound like he's from
May
New
1st.
York?
Would you be willing to talk to
I
me?
said.
I'd like to talk to
We're gonna talk to you.
the people who called in the complaint on May 1st,
Yeah. So that
12:30 in the morning,
apparently
referencing
wasn't
something
there
falling out of the
before.
sky.
Oh, that's a weather measuring device.
I was gonna say it's like a barometer, a camera, and other things.
Angel,
Yeah.
can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you get his plate? His license plate?
Okay, your license plate.
Angel,
Yeah.
can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you get his plate? His license plate?
Weird. Why?
Okay, your license plate.
Why?
Angel,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Can you
even
do me
look
a
at 3
favor?
times.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day.
Midnight, 29 minutes after midnight.
Yeah.
The call came in, and the dispatch logs, I don't have it with me, but the dispatch log said, callers say something fell from the sky, and there's things or something walking around in their yard, sitting inside a forklift or something.
Yeah.
And they said they don't look like they're human. That's what's in the log.
Yeah, that's what I
And then
called
about 20 minutes, I don't have the time in my head,
Yeah.
2 units came out here. And then at some point in time, about a half hour later, they cleared. Is that basically what happened that night?
That's nothing what happened, I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's something, we can talk in private if you want. Without the phones or, anything. I know
See,
you guys,
that's where I'm also skeptical.
but I can talk to you in private.
Did somebody tell you not? Let me ask you this. Did any other journalists come out here and talk to you since this happened? Any other reporter?
No, just a news reporter.
Just a news reporter? Who was
Yeah.
it? Which one? What news?
They told me not to say.
That's
They
how
told
you
you not to
know.
say
That's
anything?
his mark.
Was
It's
that
a NASA
recently, or was
shirt.
that like after this thing happened?
Recently, like a couple days ago.
A couple days ago? From Vegas, a Vegas reporter?
From Vegas, yes.
Okay.
No, man. I'm not buying it.
I know it's like it's so obscure and weird, and there's so much to it that I'm like, dang it, I want it to be real. And then the sources like this though are like really interesting.
What's TASS, I wonder? So
Not sure either, but like
Now I need to
if
look it up.
they're sending Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department out there to put surveillance cameras and other things up on the property, why?
Yeah. Why? I mean, maybe they don't have anything to do. I don't know.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, this is weird. Like, I mean, could it have been a hoax that got way too out of hand? Yeah, it could have easily.
Oh, that's weird. TASS stand for in the military.
But
Now, see, thanks a lot.
I
Oh, the
thought
Army
it
school system?
was
Maybe I
No
don't know. I have
idea.
to look that up. Thanks a lot.
you could see the stomach moving. You could see
Yeah,
the
and then he
ribcage,
goes a little
everything.
more
You
in
could see
depth here.
everything. And it had big heads, like big heads. And the eyes too were big.
And what do the eyes look like?
Come on, man.
The one I saw
The
inside.
video's
Oh,
garbage.
neck beard.
That's all I
They were
gotta
like
say.
they were like a neon, maybe. Like it was like it had bright light.
So first he had dark eyes,
and
now
then
he
the
has
one I
neon
saw
eyes?
standing, it had big
Exactly.
eyes. Like you could see big particles and like the eyes. You could see the blink and everything. You could see eyelashes too.
He has mascara on.
You could see eyelashes also?
Yes, I did see. They were very big. Like you could when it blinked, like it looked at you and blinking. It was moving. It was something scary that it's not human.
So that's what they say. Like,
and they're being
It was
hidden
over the
away and
caterpillar, right.
interrogated.
Today's June
this
12th.
is the one that was just
I'm
interviewed.
outside my house with my family. You can see people are saying that we disappeared, the news stations. You know, what I learned these couple days, that everything on TV is fake, and especially the news channels. They'll say fake stuff, and it's not true. You know, I already said what I had to say. If you want to believe it. I don't care no more. I just want to... You guys understand, because of you guys, I have depression. I have anxiety attacks. And I just want to be normal again. I don't feel...
None of this lines up.
I don't feel okay, guys.
Right.
And just move on, guys. Forget about it and just bye.
Sus as hell. And this is for fun.
It's a baby.
I love this video.
Oh, man. That's me to the skunks that keep tearing up my backyard.
How you react?
Oh, now we have like a weekend.
So, do you guys believe?
No. Not at all.
It's a giant hoax.
No, absolutely not.
That's a negative.
It's a big
this
negative,
is-
Ghost Rider.
First of all, his story is all over the place.
None of it matched.
None of it
did.
matches. I get that when you're in the moment, you know, perhaps you don't remember certain things. There's a big difference between now they're
You could have
dark
seen
and
a
now they're
raccoon
neon.
looking at him too.
And now you can tell he's trying to piece together all these pieces, like, oh, well, now it's this. It's like adding more on to see
Yep.
if it now it makes sense. And then magically at the end, he says, I have depression and anxiety. Now,
Like,
I'm
I
not-
want this to go away.
I want it to go away.
Yep.
So that doesn't make sense to me either.
That-
From
that
someone
is-
who
I did
also
something
has
that
depression and anxiety. Now, not everybody's the
Exactly.
same. But from the paranormal side, if you remember, one of the key things you should ask people that are in a house is, do you suffer from XYZ and are you on any medications?
Yeah.
We don't know any of that.
None. We don't know any of the background.
We don't
whatsoever.
know. Are you doped out? Are you too much medication? Not enough medication? You know, like you can see things.
Yeah. Are you
right?
suffering
You're-
from a psychosis? Like, there's
Yeah,
so
like-
much.
Or is
Because the
he
video,
trying
no,
to
it's filmed on a
divert all
potato.
his attention?
You have a 4K camera and it looks like you literally
Mhm.
pulled out an Idaho potato and filmed it.
Yep.
Why?
Or literally like the iPhone 2.
Yeah.
Like, oh dear lord.
To me, it's weird because why would you bring that up for one? Because it has nothing to do with the alien stuff. And then two, would you make a video like that because you're trying to divert all of the attention you got for creating something that people are jumping on going, oh
And
my
he's
God.
backpedaling.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
his backpedal.
Not
He
feeling-
knows, especially nowadays, where if we throw that card out, oh, well, we have to leave him alone. You know, oh, well, we better leave him alone because he has mental health problems. You know, like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. We have to have all the pieces of information.
Right.
Like, you should have thrown that out. You shouldn't have even have thrown that out. It doesn't matter. It's
Just
got
come
nothing
through
to
with
do
the
with it.
truth. You should have just said, I faked it, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. I thought
Yeah,
I saw this.
literally, if he would
Or
have came
that,
across him, said, I don't know what I saw. And instead
Yeah.
of like, it was an alien and like the truth is what I saw, and
Yeah.
been so steadfast on it. It's like, yeah, but it's so
The same thing
obscure.
happens with these ghost videos. They're
Mhm.
like, I think I saw that curtain move. Well, now the curtain, or oh wait, now it had a face in it. Oh wait, now I thought I heard a voice. Like
That's why we pure edit everything. Like Riley will
you
look at it and he'll send it
can't
to me,
do
and I'll be
that.
like, "That's a bug."
Yeah,
Or I'll
right.
send him something and be like, "That's Starscream." And it's
It's
like,
a-
what?
It's what it is. You have to be willing to accept all the information. You
Mhm.
can't just cherry pick. And I don't believe that. I
And
think it's just
also,
another
if
hoax
you
video.
do encounter something otherworldly and you happen to get it on film and you happen to call the cops, get all of this other stuff involved, and you faked it,
Yeah.
you're
The
gonna
New
have
York
backlash.
cop doesn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense to me.
He wants a hoagie.
He wants a hoagie. He's like, oh, so what are you doing? You out there? Okay, now you thought you saw an alien.
You thought you
and
seen
now-
aliens? You ever been to the New York subways?
I know. I'm
You
like,
see 'em every day
I'm
out.
surprised he's not like, it's crazy. I don't.
The 18 from the Bronx on Monday at 2 p.m. is real rough this time
Yeah.
day.
It's real. It's huge. It's real big.
I thought it was an interesting story. Like, it's elaborate, that's for sure, and it's all over Twitter and the media. So it's like,
You know what it
it's
reminds me
hilarious.
of is the recent frogman sighting. Their
I
Loveland
just listened to
frog.
that episode that you had
What
today
is
The
too.
Pokemon.
The Pokemon Go
Pokemon
one,
Go, because his story did the same thing. First, oh, now we're here. Well, actually, when you look up the actual GPS of where his phone was, it's nowhere where he says he was.
Yeah. And you
Oh,
go,
well, now it looked like this. Oh, well, actually, no, now I think it looked like this.
and then you go get technical with him, and he's like,
Dude.
well, actually, cell phone towers don't ping in the exact location you're in, so it could be within a radius. No, come on, dude. It's 2023. Come on.
Yeah, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. So it reminds me it reminds me of that. I don't
Yeah.
believe it.
I agree
at
with
all.
that.
I
All
might
right,
as well be watching Ghost Adventures.
I was gonna say, let's segue back into Ghost a little bit, because we are huge into the paranormal, and we definitely have all kinds of crazy theories and
heard.
whatnot. But I
Mhm.
know earlier you mentioned that you had paranormal experiences and that you're a believer yourself. Let's get into
am.
that a little bit. Like, what made you a believer?
What made me a believer was when one of my first experiences, and of course, because it's been so long ago, and it was before I started the team, or we started the team. I had a piece of audio equipment, just a regular recorder.
Yep.
And I had a friend of mine who was like, hey, let's just, she's a fellow creep. She's like myself. And there's this huge cemetery that's on this kind of side of the highway in Bremerton, Washington.
Mhm.
And there's a bunch of veterans there, which we found out later. So we like roll into this cemetery, and we kind of go up on the side where there's not, it's past the mausoleum, and I have the window down, and the engine is running, but you can hear it, but you can hear us.
Yeah, it's distinct.
And it's distinct. And you can hear my friend go, you know what, maybe there's just some distortion on the lens. And you hear a man's voice go, what did you do to this place? And then you hear a second voice go, don't you touch her. And now I get goosebumps.
Wow.
Oh,
Goosebumps just thinking about it. Because I'm an evidence-based person. I've always been my entire life.
We are
And to
too.
hear that, it was very clear. It wasn't like warbles. It was
What?
crazy. And to know that they were literally standing outside my window.
See that?
Did you
Did
guys get a
anybody else
goosebump?
see that? Something went. Something.
Flying off the wall.
Yeah.
It's them.
Yeah, it's that.
Where was that?
It was up there on top of the. What the fuck? Yeah, this was sitting on my wall on top of our door frame, and there was no wind or
Is that a
anything in
D&D?
here.
I see that.
It's a Magic the Gathering thing. But I
I'm just
have
learning how to
every
play.
D&D book too.
Side note. But that was the first thing that happened that I had actual evidence that started it all. And then I couldn't get enough. I started reading books. I started, but I wasn't like one of those, I don't know, like, I don't want to, I don't know how to put it. Like, I'm not a seance. I don't do stuff like that.
You weren't like a medium or like.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Not
you were
at
just
all.
like, I'm interested, but I'm not like I am telepath.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Come and talk to me. No, that's not me at all. I've never been that way. I'm a chicken, first of all, when it comes to stuff like that. I get creeped out very easily. Not to put that creep word in there again, but I do. And I just remember listening to it that there was no mistaking, like there was no mistaking what happened. And I remember both of us were like, we have to go back. And from then on out, I took pictures of the graves that we were next to, and it was two gentlemen. They were right next to each other. They were both veterans. I'm a veteran. And I don't know if that had something to do with it.
It very much so could.
I was just out of the Navy. I mean, I had probably only been out less than 6 months.
How long were you
months,
enlisted
maybe
for?
7 months. I was in for a few years. I was medically discharged,
Mm.
but and it was very important to me, you know, like it and maybe that because it was still really heavy on my heart.
Yeah.
This is me putting emotion into it, but
Right.
maybe that has something to do with it. It's so weird. You know, I had my military sticker still on my car. It was crazy. It was just really weird. And that was the first time that I was like, okay, I'm in.
That's so
I'm in.
cool.
And I didn't see anybody. There wasn't a person, there wasn't a footstep. You can literally just hear my bug idling. That was my car, the bug. And that's it. And I had no way to disprove it. And I was
so
hooked.
interesting.
Yeah.
I love that was your first experience too, because not usually do you ever go on, you know, like a random encounter
Right.
like that, and then just so happen the first one you even go on and you catch something where it's like two people talking to each other
Yeah,
from a
you
completely
can be on a
different
12-hour investigation and not get anything.
We've done so
know?
many where we've caught like 10 things in a span of 10 minutes, and we were there for 6-7 hours.
Yep, right. And it's like, and then it's done.
Mhm.
That's all the energy they had.
I always think of it as like a crescendo, where it's like you might have like somebody playing the piano really soft, and all of a sudden it's like, it's like, what the
and then
hell?
it's over. Yeah, it's like that's all they had.
And it's like, and done.
Yeah, and I'm done.
We recently went on an investigation, and it started off pretty slow.
Oh, yeah.
Once we started making connections with some stuff, things started.
I think your mic's not working, my dude.
You aren't speaking at it correctly, or did you put it in
hear me?
backwards?
Because it sounds like I'm picking it up from his microphone, just so other people
Really?
can hear you.
Speak into it again.
Hello.
It's really quiet.
Try again.
Hello. Hello. It's not backwards.
Oh, it's better.
It's
When you
better.
came around the
Weird.
side, it was better.
When I
Just
went over
really
here.
quiet. Yep.
Yeah, you be speaking at it wrong.
You be speaking at it wrong. I just thought I'd let you know.
It doesn't have
also-
a logo.
I know.
on it.
We
How am
also
supposed
get
to know?
really, really into what we're talking about, and we'll start doing like this.
I have
It's like, damn it.
I have a
Like-
bad tendency to speak
Yeah.
away from the mic.
I turn around. I move too much. I have that.
And on top of that, I have a very soft
Much
pitched
better, by the way.
voice.
Yeah.
Just
My
thought
problem
thinking,
right now
that's
is like
okay.
we need to get like the Shure mics that are like you can sit farther away from them to pick it
Yeah.
up instead of like I
Well,
have to
when
make
you
a-
get that budget, good for you.
Yeah, that's we do have a Cash App.
So do I.
Oh man. Okay. So do you ghost hunt often?
I haven't been in a long time.
Mm.
I had when I moved. So I moved from Washington where my team was, and now I'm here in Ohio.
Mm.
And all my gals are back. They're not my gals, but you know what I mean. Our team is back there, and I had a couple weird experiences that kind of had aftershocks. And again, I'm not a medium. I'm not a Zach Baggins, you know.
I'm feeling my bones.
But I do enjoy the fun side of his personality. However, I had a few experiences that I didn't care for afterwards, and I think it kind of spooked me a little bit. I'll still read about it, but I don't like having bad nightmares. I don't like feeling weird. Like I don't like things like that.
Would you say you've ever been physically affected then?
I think not on site,
Mm.
but I think after some big mammy jammies of an investigation, yes.
Yeah,
Two
I think me and
specifically.
Riley have as well. So it's
I
like,
definitely
yep.
definitely have been somewhat affected by a spirit somewhere. Like Nunica Cemetery, there's this little girl supposedly that haunts the place. And we
Mhm.
went there once, and she I felt something touch my hand when I on command, and then I just kept having like this sense that I needed to go back for whatever reason. Couldn't explain it.
Isn't that weird?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've had that. I think one of the locations is Old Pioneer Cemetery in Olalla, which is just down the road from Starvation Heights, which we also did.
Starvation Heights.
Yeah, so it's what they call it. Yeah. But Dr. Linda Hazard, that's her house that we went to. But and that was one of the places that after we were done there, it was around for a while. I had some really bad dreams and I just didn't really care for it. And then in between there, we went to this Old Pioneer Cemetery, and it's like the Spanish flu era.
Yeah.
Lots of really young children and women. A lot of unmarked graves, and it was like this draw. I had to go back. I wanted to go back. Middle of the night. We should go out there. It was so weird.
Yeah,
And,
that's
like,
exactly what happened
You
to
don't
me.
have that feeling on other investigations, you would say, or like other, like even in general. Like I don't normally get like a that's a stick up my ass. I got to do it.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Which made I'm like, okay, we went there, we conquered, we left. Let's go.
Yep.
It was that place. Just I don't know what it was. I don't know if being an empath is real. I don't know if any of that. I can't prove it. So
I do think that people are generally like more susceptible, because me and Riley both have like played with the idea of like, well, if you have your mind open to saying like to anything basically, so like you could be like, I think aliens are real, I think spirits are real, I think this or that and the other thing, you can easily draw the parallel where it's like, well, you have less blinders on than other people, so you might see more of a peripheral vision than what other people see, so like you might see more than what other people see because they just don't care to look.
Right. They're just not open to it.
Yep,
exactly.
But I also I'm not that person where it's like, I'm open, use me. Like, no, you stay over there. Let me take a picture of you.
Batteries.
Yeah.
Use batteries, not me.
You stay off me. Yeah. Like I just don't like that part. I don't mind being spooked out. Like I remember we did this really cool old schoolhouse in Kingston, Washington. We kind of went all around the Pacific Northwest. We were invited to go there, and it was being used as like a kindergarten kind of situation. And that place also, like the stairwell gave me the creeps. It was like 2 stairs that go up and then they both go upstairs. So maybe it was just kind of that, what is that called? Funhouse effect, where it's the weird angles and you can't look at everything. And then we were upstairs and we started hearing the glass jars they use for painting. We started hearing them clinking downstairs.
Oh,
because it's like it's a big open schoolhouse. It's old. And that was, but I didn't feel in danger.
Right.
Ever.
We don't normally on investigations either. Like I would say there's only been one time that I was actually frightened. Other than that, it's like oh God, my butterflies are like
the hibbly jibblies. Yeah. You're like, what's going on? I've only had one time where I'm like, I don't like it here. Like I truly didn't like it there. And it was where a horror movie was filmed and they had stuff happening. Yeah, right. Bad mojo, bad people. Well, it was weird. So this dude, where was this house? It was in Bothell. And first of all, the owner of the house, oh my God, he was weird. I'm talking weird. Like he'd show up and he was always like, I have all these scientific ways of curing. Check out this static mat. And we were like,
drink my water. It's got minerals.
And we need to go. Yeah. I was like, no, I'm not using that. We're not doing this.
Have you heard the elixir of life?
I was creeped out. And he had a weird schnauzer. We have pictures of this dog.
Fountain of youth.
Yeah. That's how it felt. And that basement, as soon as you walk down the steps and you look down the hall, it was just like a long hallway with doors. And I hated it. I was like, I'm not going there. I hated it.
Tommy
and all the rooms had
was
mattresses on the floor.
Reformatory.
And that was creepy. Who's the Ohio State Reformatory? Oh, I want to go there.
So do we.
Okay. I think Tommy was asking if it was the Ohio State Reformatory.
No.
That you were talking about.
No,
Shout out Tommy and Haunting with Hodge too. Two good.
Are these people?
Thanks for tuning in, boys. And
I only have
those
one.
dweebs and Mr. Dog going crazy in the chat today. Y'all are amazing.
Lots of things. So that was probably one of the only houses that I was like, I don't like it here. I need to leave.
I agree with that. There's only been one place where I was like, I got a bad juju here. I don't want to go back. And it wasn't even when we went investigating. It was a house that I was friends with that lived there prior to that, and I had a really fucked up experience when I was a child. So it was like, yeah, that got me into it, but I also was terrified. So it was like jump started with the scary, and now it's desensitization, and it's like cool. I'm good now.
Yeah, no, I'm still not desensitized. I'm not ready. I want to, but I'm like, but I don't want the side effects.
I feel like we got not pushed into it, but like after our first investigation where we like legitimately were like, all right, we're going to do a ghost hunt that's not a cemetery. We went to the old Lincoln County Jail, and that place is a fun house of mystery. Is all I gotta say. Like we caught so much random stuff that I was like, I don't think anything's gonna happen. We have a group of people we've never met with us. Like there's 15 people in here. Like what? How the fuck is that gonna work? I thought it was just gonna be us.
Right.
And
And you don't have that. You don't have that. Like you can read each other. You know, like if you're with your team.
We were like, it's like that intimate.
Exactly. Like how do we tell somebody we don't like shut the fuck up kindly?
Right.
Because
you just do it.
Not putting like hate on anyone or anything.
No,
but
it's
some
just me
people
saying
when
it
they are with other people, they're chatty catties.
Oh,
oh yeah.
Getting them to like not talk
So
for like
hard not
5
to.
minutes, impossible.
Yeah. And ours team was like that. We're a bunch of girls.
Oh,
and we
yeah.
all knew we all worked with each other.
Well,
we all knew each other.
When we were at the Lincoln County Jail, it was me and Trevor and 10 women.
And then one other guy. And that was it.
Like,
One other guy who wasn't even part of the investigation. He was just kind of there.
Yeah. And then all the girls wanted to stay with the group leader, and we were like, can we like go upstairs?
Can we go
like,
yeah.
we're not afraid. Like, can we just like go on our own?
Yeah.
But we did. I wonder if our name's still written on the whiteboard.
I sure hope so. That'd be awesome.
Little piece of you.
Yeah, we decided when we first started the podcast, it was 4 years ago now, right? And we did the investigation like a year into the podcast, I think, right?
2 years.
2 years into it. So it was like a while that we had already like gotten our name out.
Maybe
there.
not even. Maybe a
I
year.
don't remember exactly how long we were doing it, but we found a marker, and they had this big whiteboard in the basement of the jail where I think they kept their food, and they had like
it was like a little cafeteria.
Yeah, I think it was a
Yeah,
cafeteria.
little galley.
Yeah, but they weren't really using it for anything down there other than just like you could go investigate it. So I was like, dude, nobody's using the whiteboard. Like there's a marker.
We are.
So we wrote what goes on tonight. It's in huge letters.
We were here.
Exactly. And I was like, well, I mean, if somebody doesn't know who we are now, like they might.
So if you found us because of the old Lincoln County Jail and us writing on the whiteboard, let us know.
Here they are, kids.
So I've been listening to your podcast now. Like I literally binged it all day, and I really
Nice.
love cryptics and cults. So let's touch on those a little bit. So
Actually, can I bring up
you
something
go
before
right
we do
ahead.
that? Because I listened to, I think it's your
Oh, yeah,
second
you're right.
episode where you talked about the Apollo mission to the moon
Yep.
being a hoax or not. Funny thing is you missed one valuable person in that podcast, and we actually happened to interview him. His name is
who's that?
Bart Cybrell.
Okay.
The man Buzz Aldrin punched in the face.
Yes. So
Yes.
yes. So we interviewed him, and he is basically the originator of this
The hoax.
conspiracy.
I don't know if you could call him an originator, but he's the proprietor
He pretty
right
much
now.
is because he literally
He's got the
made a
stamp.
movie.
I think he mentioned to us that he made a documentary, and now he's on another documentary coming out about the moon landing and how it was fake that cost him millions of dollars, but he can't release it because they'll kill him.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you
Yeah.
if you love that conspiracy, definitely go listen to our episode. They got taken down from YouTube.
It's on
but
Spotify though.
It's on Spotify and all
Yeah.
of that. Definitely
There's
listen
a
to the
good book.
episode.
Hold on. Wait
It's
a
okay. I'm
second.
watching our cats fight over there, and it was really funny.
And Tommy, I do know how I met you. I ran into you at a cemetery of all places.
A strip club
If I
cemetery,
fall
Yeah, it was a strip club cemetery.
and we were using our PP
Ghosts
pumps.
were,
Where is this book?
grinding on us, doing all kinds of dirty things.
And we
How is
got
it
a
a
pee-pee
strip
pump.
club cemetery?
The PP pump pushes energy into the air.
This is a
Yes.
great book. If you
I-
ever get a chance to read it,
I want to now really bad.
Moonspiracy, it's really
By
good.
Phil Coleman. Okay.
How do you
He's
do you
the-
feel
he's-
like
it's
it's
his
real or fake
project.
though?
Well, and that's you got to read it. But I like it because it's basically it's not necessarily his opinion. It's him putting all the information out.
Right. And that's
like-
exactly what it should be.
Yeah, like all the claims and everything, and it's little. It's a little.
Yeah,
book.
it's you can easily like
But it's very
regurgitate that
good.
and like take that in a night probably.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a bigger library because this is getting out of hand. So
I love that though.
I
That's
no
what we need
longer have to
utilize
go to
more.
the library.
Yeah, we don't use books enough, honestly.
Oh, I
We
love
should.
books. Oh, it's like an addiction now. I just got a first edition of one of my Haitian zombie books, and
I
I'm like,
just listened to that
I
episode.
I
too.
listened
It's
to
oh
like
my
half of it.
god, that's so wild.
yeah, that one's crazy too. That one is hard because like I think a lot of it is mental instead of
Oh yeah.
physical.
But still, like just like the premise behind it and like how it honestly almost correlates to what just happened in like Indonesia or something. How a lady was like supposedly had died of a stroke and she was found alive in her casket.
Right. It's like, what are we doing here? Yeah, I that's why I love older books like that because there's no sugarcoating. Like you read books modern days and words have been taken out and this has been that's not historical. That's not historical. So I don't
I still have this book.
I know
now
he's
we're digging into our libraries.
I'm pretty sure he's probably digging out his Michigan serial killer book.
No. Even older. So this book, The Mosquito Fleet, it's an original copy of what do you call it? Like a Scholastic's book thing that told the accounts of the war in World War II about the Mosquito Fleet, which is like the small boats and whatnot. And it's from 1966. And it's so old, it has the like bookworm holes in it because they ate the holes through it. And it's like I love books like this.
Those are great. I know. Well, now that we're doing show and tell, we'll come back to what we were talking about because we were just talking about Dr. Linda Hazard, right? So she wrote a book about her fasting regimens. Guess who has it?
No shit.
Yeah,
that's
I have
crazy.
It. Now this is not a first edition, but this was published when she was still alive. So technically, I could have went and got an autograph. Although she would have hated me because I'm chubby, but that's okay. Yeah.
Oh
I'm a Wisconsinite. We come out of the womb chubby. Like, get over it, Linda.
How big was Violet?
And there she is.
Yeah, our daughter was 8 pounds and 4 ounces.
Oh, that's a good sized baby there. I don't have any two-legged kids myself, but that's a good sized baby.
Yeah, she was a chonker.
Yeah,
and so these are the type of books that I try and find. And I tell you, there's something about them.
Do you get those like off eBay or like how do you find that stuff?
Sometimes eBay, sometimes what's the other one? There's like another book, something else fall.
The cats just knocked over the green
that was the cats.
Okay,
this
that's the
one's
cats.
explainable.
I'm like, what's going on in that house?
Falling from up there, that's literally been up there for how long?
Dude, I've had it for like
so
a year
long.
and a half.
It has been up there, and there was nothing going on to where
there's
that
no
should have
wind in here.
fell.
No ACs are on.
Here's
nothing.
the thing. Lately, there's been some weird things that have been happening in this house, and I am not okay with it.
No, I refuse. So Mr. Creep wants me to get equipment out for this house. Our house that we currently reside in. No, that's the rule. Not where we sleep and eat. No.
Okay. Jenna, explain the story of the Wendigo stuff that happened here. I'm gonna go use the bathroom really quick.
Oh my gosh. Wait.
Oh, we're bringing on. We're bringing her on.
Tell
Well,
her.
I mean, you just said that story last week,
but no,
Jenna didn't
there's
tell
more to it now.
More
There's
to it.
More to it.
Yeah.
More to it.
So, when we went to Eden Springs, we most likely encountered a Wendigo, and we came home. It was about like 4:00 in the morning when we came back, and I heard a screech outside. I didn't say anything, and then I finally turned to Trevor, and I was like, "Did you hear that?" And he went, "You heard that too?" And so, anyways, yeah. And then the next day, we were setting up my daughter's pool after
Just audio, or did you see anything?
I have not seen anything. No. So just audio, and I have the Spirit Talker app on my phone, and I was just messing with it, and it said skinwalkers around, you are not safe. Then the other day, what was that day you guys went to the cemetery? Saturday. I was home alone. I just got out of work, whatever. It was like I was waiting for them, and it was like 2:30 in the morning before you guys came, before I called, and I have this little baby possum on the porch that I feed and stuff because it has babies in the back.
I love it.
And so I feed it. And
I love it.
And then
It actually does say
I recorded it because I was
Wait,
going to send
do
it
it
to
9 for
Trevor and
class.
I said, hey, and I started recording, and then all of a sudden I heard hi from like 2 different directions. It's pitch black outside. I'm the only one. We're the only house on this road. I'm the only one home, and I'm just like, no. And I walked back inside, locked myself in, and brought my dog
Of
and my
course.
cat into
You're like,
my
nope,
room.
nope.
I literally did. If I had more locks, you would just hear them. And I got it on video, and on the video, you can hear it say, hi. And I was
So,
like,
and that's
no.
using this app that's on your phone?
No, I recorded it like off of Snapchat.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll
picking you out.
piggyback off hers. Because before that, we had the Spirit Talker app, which it'll spit out words for you, which it's like the Ovilus. But we also
But it's
had
on
it-
your phone, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Which
Shout out
it's not
Spotted Ghosts.
$600 fucking like the Ovilus is, but it does the exact same thing and it does it well. And we had it going with other equipment that was also going off with it, so it actually made it seem like this isn't just fucking bullshit. This is actually
Right.
something happening. And we were getting responses like Wendigo and Skinwalker. And at one point, it came through and said, I affect the animals while we were Eden Springs. Well, while we were walking up the trail to leave, to go back to the fire and hang out with everybody, there was a fucking crawfish on the middle of a cement pad that had no business being
In
there.
Michigan?
Yeah. Crawfish do live around here, but it's very rare to see them. I
No,
haven't
it's,
seen one in
It's
10
not. You
years.
just gotta go look in the river, man.
But we weren't in a river. We were on a cement.
just
pad
saying,
that-
like-
I know, but there wasn't really water around.
You don't have to.
It feels
to go at
passionate
me.
about this. Jeez.
Well, because it's like the whole lead up to like the Wendigo thing and like how I'm almost positive that we had an interaction with it.
Yeah.
Like
satanic crawfish.
That's what he's getting at. Is there's t-shirts coming soon?
yes,
Perfect.
there are t-shirts coming. soon.
Segue to merch.
The satanic
I like
crawfish is
I
real.
like that.
So like we were getting like just really weird stuff, you know, like saying like devil and demon and things like that. But then also there was this crawfish, and it's like, okay, this is weird. It comes through, it says I affect the animals. It hasn't ever like correlated that well for me, so I was like, I don't know if I believe this for real.
See, the only thing that I have, because I am
Mhm.
going to come at this skeptically
I
because
know
I
you are.
wasn't there, is you have to remember there are owls. And owls will, if they see a
Weird.
crawfish too, will grab it and they will fly with it and they
True.
might drop it.
That's true.
Oh, I did hear an owl that
Or
night.
That's a
hawk
good point.
might grab a crayfish, fly with
Yeah.
it, and
But
drop it.
Any
regardless,
raptor will do that.
It could
That's the
easily
only like skepticism
Yeah,
I
no, it
have
could
on
easily
it.
be
No, that's
being
good.
anything.
But it was like it was weird because after we saw the crawfish, we went up there, and then the next day we're getting hits on our Spirit Talker. Here it's saying Wendigo, I see you. Not only that, when it said stranger and I see you, somebody was looking in my window the night after we went on that investigation and got home at 10 o'clock in the morning with all of our cars out here.
You're in
And
a
it's
rural
like-
area and someone was looking outside your window?
Yeah, we live literally kitty corner to where I live is a restaurant, and then in front of that is a gas station. So it's like we're visible as hell. The street that
On
is
the
off of
busiest
those
road in
is one
Okay,
Muskegon.
so you're kind of near people.
Yeah, like you can easily see our house
It is.
from the
It
roads.
is not rural. It is urban.
Okay.
I guess you could say urban. Because
Rural
I
is
say
country, buddy.
well,
Yeah.
everything next to me is just like is nothing.
You're
But then
literally
across
like
the street-
downtown
We're in the
Muskegon.
city.
You're
Okay,
in
in this
Roosevelt Park. Come on.
In this whirlwind of information, can I put my 2 cents in on this
Yeah,
app?
Of course.
So think about this before that.
Hmm.
When you talk about something you're thinking about buying, something you're talking to your friend about, inevitably what happens when you open up Facebook?
Pops up.
Yeah, you
It
get
pops up.
you-
Ad.
So
that's
the
what we were
problem
saying
is
too.
it seated somehow selectively because it can hear you. Even when
Yeah.
the phone's off, it
Yep.
can hear you.
That's code. All you have to do is program it to say one
Yeah.
line of code can easily do that. So
So I
that's why I'm
have
like,
I have such a hard time with that one.
I know that's where we both are like I'm skeptical, but I like to use it with other equipment, and if
Right,
I can
it's
get
fun.
both of them to go off, it's interesting, and I do put some
Right.
stock into it, but it's not all of mine.
But not all of it. Right.
Yeah, it just was weird that when we got home, it was still saying things about skinwalkers and things like that. But now that we've used it since on other investigations, it hasn't said one word about that.
Can I say one thing?
What?
Okay, so
He's interested now.
I work. It was really slow one day, and one of my coworkers is like super into like ghost hunting and stuff. And so he's like, "Bring out the Spirit Talker app," and I was like, "Okay." I put it on, turned it on. We went about our life at work,
Sure.
and then all of a sudden, our boss's name came through, and then it
the-
also said her name is Amy, and then it said my remains, and then it says some other things about like I will visit. So I brought it up to her yesterday, and she goes, "It was my dad's birthday the other day," and we were like, "Oh, weird." Very weird. And she was like, "And we haven't scattered his ashes yet."
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
So there's
interesting.
that.
That is interesting.
See, so it's like I don't want to say it's all truth and it's all lies, but I definitely I like
sure.
to use it for sure. And then
It's
just
like I
the fact
mentioned
that
though,
it's
it's
like
not black and white.
yeah, and then the fact that we have this crazy like sound in the middle of the night that both of us 100% heard, like like all the random shit that's been happening here outside of what normally happens. It's like, yeah, I don't know, like it's weird.
Yeah, well, and you want to hear it. That's the hard part. It's like you want to hear it.
Oh,
How
yeah.
cool is it to say that this and this happened right there? Like,
I have a hard time sometimes when we go into like bigger investigations to be like, hey man, this is gonna be fun, but lower your expectations. Like,
Right.
please
You're
just
at a
go
10,
in
we
there
need
and
you at a 2.
it's
You know,
the
like-
best advice I can give other investigators that are just starting out or even people that are seasoned. It's like low expectations, and then if you come out with anything, that's
Yeah.
way more than you could probably ever ask for.
I think
Right.
there's so many people that want to get into it, and they think that it's going to be popping off all
Yep.
night long.
Like firecrackers.
There's a lot of
Go.
sitting around bullshitting.
Mhm.
There really is. Before you're
There's-
like, oh my god, did that thing just move? You know, like
You could be
and then it
like
breaks it.
literally like talking, laughing, rip a fart, and all of a sudden somebody bangs on a table, and you're like, I wasn't ready. I wasn't
Yeah.
recording.
I wasn't recording.
Always record.
And there is, and we actually made a funny reel, one of our like funny commercials for our team. And I had a team member, she was sitting at the top of those steps I was talking about on wood, and she literally just ripped one right there. And that's how we like started the commercial. Because it's like we're like the anti-normal way
Oh,
to
yeah.
investigate.
Some of the shit that
Makes
comes out of me
me
and Riley's
wonder.
mouth is terrible.
Makes
It
me
makes it
wonder,
funny.
has anyone ever captured a ghost fart?
I'm sure.
I don't know. I'm
Well,
not
actually,
sure.
now that I'm wondering, because it's like SBDs,
I
bro.
mean, they make all kinds of weird noises. What? Only demons fart? I don't think so.
Come on. If I can fart in my present life, I want to fart when I'm dead too. Come on.
I can see it now too.
It's
like,
my chance to shine. Okay?
imagine this though. Like you somehow you put on a pair of glasses that you can see into the spirit realm, and you just see a demon just like
just
Like,
just
bruh.
goes for it. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
man?
what are you gonna do?
Every time anyone's ever thought a demon growled at him, it was
I would
actually it just
die.
farting.
It's actually a toot. It's just a big toot. Yep.
I think we are now
Farts
the
are funny,
leading
no matter
experts
who
in
you are.
paranormal farts.
Yep. Paranormal
Yeah.
fart experts.
I know. Someone needs to write a book.
Write it down.
Paranormal
Yeah.
flatulence.
I keep telling
my God,
Riley,
that's a good
and he
title.
doesn't want to be
Paranormal
associated with me
flatulence.
when I say it, but I was like, I'm the leading expert on Bigfoot's penis.
Yeah, I'm not part of
He
that.
says I'm not part of it. I was like, nobody has that title.
I don't know if I would, play that title from the mountain, but I
Have
guess.
you seen the shows where they like, I forgot what it's called, but they'll do the squatch calls and they'll be like, so if you go out in the woods and you hear,
Oh my god.
and they do it with a straight face.
They're calling Jim Bob out of the woods is what they're doing. Like, I don't understand this.
Remember, you gotta
Yeah.
get the hop in there. If you don't get
Yeah,
the hop,
It like makes me want to cry laughing so hard because like you'll watch these guys and you'll be like, they're getting paid to do this and they're serious.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious
And
about
that's
it.
what
too,
I have
but-
a hard time with. Like, I love cryptids.
Yep.
I have an obsession with Bigfoot. I have
So
a
do we.
Bigfoot stuffed and like a plushie in my car named Dean that has been across the United
Mm. I
States
love that.
wearing Harry Potter glasses. He is my
That's
first
the
love
rider
of
right
cryptids.
there.
He's my ride or die, Dean in the backseat. But then I see all stuff like this and I'm like, oh, but I can't take him seriously now. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yep.
like, come on.
I think sometimes it's
Ghost Adventures got that way for me once there was a very long string of episodes where it's I'm affected.
I
And
know.
it's
I'm like, bro,
See,
you need
that
to
that
move
stuff
along, little
makes
doggy.
more sense now with the recent episode
it
that
does
came
and
out
it
with
doesn't to
Zach,
me.
where he finally admitted that he's a sensitive. So I think for a long time he didn't want to admit that
But
he is.
it's still a production. And I know we always go back and forth on it, but it's still a production at the end of the day.
Don't get
and I
me
just
wrong.
don't see how it
I
happens
love
every time.
I love watching Ghost Adventures. It's when they get the one or two things where I can relate
Oh, it's-
to, but
it's
the
one of
rest
the
of it,
best.
I'm like, I just don't understand. If you can feel a temperature variance, where's your thermometer? If you can feel this is happening, like I
There
watch
is
it just
episodes
for
that they have
fun.
too that literally nothing happens.
Yeah. So I mean,
Nothing.
you can
Or they wait until the
definitely
last
get
10
a lot of
seconds.
it is.
Yeah.
I
just don't understand.
Exactly.
Like,
That's where I can't say I can understand it because like me and Riley are definitely not big enough yet to like have somebody approach us and be like, so we have 20 seasons. You guys are going on your 21st. What are we
they're
gonna make
always
this
looking for
special with?
somebody fresh. They're always looking for somebody fresh. I remember, not to talk about the team again, but the Sci-Fi Channel, back when the Sci-Fi Channel existed, they had a contest, and you could put in for your team to basically be featured, and you would get all this paranormal equipment. So I was like I did the audio visual, did all the research, and I created this commercial. And when you looked at the promo for that, we were like 70%, all of our faces walking down the hill, everything. And I'm like, oh, we got it in the bag. So you better believe I was like, here comes my 20 seasons. I hope they're ready for Wisconsin, baby. And then nothing happened.
That's literally where we're at. We're like, when are we gonna catch our big break? What's gonna be the video that takes off that just catches fire?
You just got to keep putting it out there. I think that's what it is.
See, and that's the problem that we do. Like any paranormal investigator that does YouTube or anything, if you are approached with a contract, like do you give up your creative control for a producer to come in and step in and tell you how things are going to go? Like it's great to have the production behind you where they book everything, they tell you what you're doing, set your itinerary and like all of that. That's fantastic.
Right, the hard part's done.
Yeah, but is the product that they put together what you envision for your brand? And are you going to give them all of this titling rights and things to your brand? So if they decide to drop you like they did Destination Fear,
or Project
it's
Fear?
still theirs.
It's Project Fear now.
Oh, it was Destination Fear. You're right.
It was Destination Fear.
If that happens, will you have the fan backing? Luckily, Project Fear does. Will you have the backing to be able to start a new project and continue? Luckily, they are able to, but that's not going to be the case for every single team that's out there. Dakota's been around for a really long time.
But I think that's what's crucial about I'll say small fish.
Right.
Like myself, I can literally pick up any book. I can go, I'm going to read through this book and I'm going to talk about pages 1 through 10.
Yep.
And it's me. I made that choice. I wanted to talk about this. By the way, another really good book.
Hell yeah.
And it's mine. It's all mine. I decide what my voice sounds like, what I look like, what the subject matter is. I don't want to talk about ghosts this week. I want to talk about cryptids. That's my choice. Where if a TV picks you up, it's gone.
Yeah.
Right. You have to, it's out of your hands unless somehow you are able to work yourself into being part of creative. It's
right. Which is rare.
They're going to look at you and go, we have the best producers in the world. We have the best story writers, the best, everything. No, you guys are, we're making you. Like you didn't make you, we're making you now. And it's like, that's where I would struggle if someone was to approach it. So if you are a producer and you're looking to talk to us, just know that we want creative control over
Email
our
is creepyconfidentialpodcast@gmail.com. Hit me up.
You better. I'm telling you right now. If you want hard-hitting research and the facts that catch eyes
and wacky Midwesterners, go for it.
Yep. I'll say right. Right there.
And we're bringing all our friends with us.
Yeah, I think that I enjoy being kind of at I've had this idea for a long time, but the people around me were like, you need to do it. You enjoy this so much and we're sick of hearing about it. Do it. And now I can buy all the books. I can have my own library. I can talk about whatever I want. And that's what I enjoy. I don't want that taken away.
I know. Ever. And what gets me the most is like, we started this on a whim. Like we were just talking one day and it just came out where it's like, I like podcasts. I like talking about this stuff. I don't mind being in front of a camera or behind a microphone. Mm-hmm. Oh, why don't we just record this then? And then it turned into 4 years, 100 and almost 50 episodes now. Like it's insane.
Good for you guys.
I think this is 149.
Technically, yeah, I think so.
I was not prepared for, because I talk about a little bit of everything, right? I do cryptids, conspiracies, and cults. And the cults, I was not
So
prepared
wild.
for the, I'll say, backlash.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I did Heaven's Gate, right? I did my
Mhm.
own opinion.
Marshall Applewhite.
And I talked about everything. I had members, current
Really?
members, contact me and basically tell me, stick to cryptids and get away from Heaven's
Really?
Gate. I did. And because
Wow.
this was my, I was so excited. I'm the weirdo, right? I was like, oh my God, their website's still up. I'm
Like,
going to
oh, shit.
contact them for study material. You can still
Yeah.
look it up, heavensgate.com.
I had no
And I was
idea.
like, they have study material. Send me the study material. And then a padded envelope showed up. And then this showed up.
No way. That
It is
see, we
their
need to do more of that.
anthology. It's their anthology.
That's so
And
cool.
they sent me within 2 minutes. They sent me something. But it turns
Really?
out it's not these people. So these are the people that weren't there. They left
Okay.
before.
They were the away team.
They were the
The
away
away team.
But this was basically when he was like, "Are you ready to die for this?"
That's so wild.
These people.
It's funny too because he wasn't
people
like
weren't
that at
there.
the beginning of that cult. He
Right.
didn't change until it was too late.
And you know what the pressure point was? When that's what I said. I said, as soon as Doe died,
Yep.
everything
when it pushed him.
changed. That's what I got the messages, heated messages about. I'm talking messages that are like this long in the comments. I've deleted a couple comments because I'm like, you just need to go away.
Yeah, like
And
there's no like, if you want to like sit here and argue a point, argue your point. Go ahead.
yeah,
If I can rip you apart, I might. It's not worth my time, but
but it's not. But that was the first time where I was like, this shit's real. Pardon my language. This isn't just me talking
this
about a
isn't what
ghost.
we just watch on YouTube. This is
Yeah,
real.
like I have literally hit a vein, and I have members that are still around
Yep.
contacting me on the sly in the comments and
Mhm.
also in my DMs.
Scientology is the same way.
And I was like, I must be doing something right if I've pissed you off. And
Exactly.
it's my opinion. This is the internet. I can talk about anything I want. But I did hours and hours and hours of research. My husband was a little concerned.
Were you ever scared though? Like Mr. Dog said, were you ever like in fear for your life after having them with the backlash and whatnot?
No. If I've mentioned, I'm a member, of the veteran
Mm.
culture.
Well, yeah, so it's like, hey, I'll kick your ass,
and I'm a USPSA competition shooter. Go ahead
hell
and
yeah.
run. I'll probably hit you better. It's like I don't have a problem with that.
No,
Like that's not an invitation. That's just me
not
saying
by any means.
I'm not one of those people.
Right.
Where I am.
You're not looking for trouble.
I'm not looking for trouble, but I'm also not afraid. You come and have an issue with me, we can talk about it. You show up at my house, you get the other side. You get Mrs. Creep after hours.
I love that.
Who enjoys her bourbon.
Oh yeah.
And is not afraid of her time. I'm allowed to look into a cult, but that was the only one. I was afraid that when I did Love Is One, that I would have because there's a lot of Love Is One members still around. And they didn't die for their cause. She died for their cause.
Yep.
But nobody said anything. She was their martyr. That was the whole point. You've mummified your leader, and I that was the first time though where I was like, but you're watching my videos.
Yep.
Honestly,
we should collaborate on another episode and do because we did Jim Jones before, but I would like to get a second opinion on what you
That's
believe.
a big one. I'm
It's
still
huge.
working on that one.
And
I'm not ready yet.
we were just informed that somebody that we're friends with may be able to get us into one of the compounds that Jim Jones was a member. Like he let his congregation in.
I already have that venue's contact.
There was quite a few.
Exactly.
There was quite a few because that's how he got the ball rolling.
Mhm.
He was this fantastical preacher. I
Yep.
mean, I'm not saying he's good. I'm saying it's literally in a fantastical sense. Where
He was a savvy, like
oh
I don't
my
want to say
God,
businessman.
He could smooth. He could talk. He
would
like,
bring
you just wanted to watch
he would bring
him.
Not gonna lie, he
busloads
was
of his
smooth.
followers to make it look like the crowd was thicker, so more people would show up and
His
and
He
the
would
way
pay
he
for his
marketed
healers.
the way he marketed was next level.
Yeah, it's super
Next level.
super interesting.
Before that was a big deal, and
Right.
that's one of them. And I'm like I'm now where I'm like, okay, if I start talking about these cults, if I start talking about Bigfoot, he's not going to show up in the comments. Bigfoot, if you're watching, please show up in my comments.
He might. Someone probably has.
He
a
might.
Bigfoot fan.
Dude, Mr. Dog is so on these quick-witted, like the quick-witted stuff. All of the cult names, like everybody, like Jim Jones, Marshall Applewhite, like all of them are literally rapper names. Like, he's right. Didn't think about that.
Jim
Right?
Jones.
I'm Jim Jones.
Mac Jones. Oh my God!
The
Every now and then I
funniest part is,
stumble
too,
across
is most of
something.
these cult leaders end up on hard drugs at the
You
end of their
have
lives.
to be.
Like
That's
bad.
the only way to pursue it. Oh my gosh! I don't know if you've stumbled across it yet. So the final tape from Jim Jones from the day that everything happened. Have
We
you listened to
listened
that
to it.
tape? Oh my God! I was like, you could hear the babies, you could hear the
Oh,
the,
dude,
the
it took
women
everything
wailing.
into me to not just get up and walk away and cry. It
Oh,
was like,
I know,
oh
but
my
I was like, this
God.
is
That's-
educational. You have to watch it. Like it's like if you listen to other episodes, I'm a very much so an animal advocate.
Yep.
Even though I'm from Wisconsin, you think I'm like hunting, fishing, whatever. I can't do it. I have
Yeah.
such a hard time with it. So even an educational video about butchering a chicken, I'm like,
Yeah.
can't watch it.
Oh God. Then when our next true crime episode finally releases,
Don't listen to
It's
it.
bad.
Yeah.
It's traumatizing as fuck. It's bad.
Yeah, there will be a
And
huge
those are-
disclaimer on it.
and that's I don't know. Those are just certain things that I steer clear of.
Yeah.
But
like,
when it comes to humans being humans,
agree.
oh baby, we're gonna go into it.
I literally say all the time, like, yeah, we talk about monsters, we talk about cryptids, we talk about all the spooky stuff, but the real fucking monsters live next door. You don't
Humans,
understand the depravity
absolutely.
people
Oh
can
my
go
God,
to.
you should see my neighbor.
The shade.
No, thank God she's moving. I've had enough of her shenanigans. I'll just leave it
Like
at that.
younger, like wilding out, or just like
Oh
batshit
no,
crazy,
old and like
hitting the
yeah.
wall with a broom, like shut up.
Let's just say her time has passed. She needs to move on. So
I
I've
just
had
hope
enough
she
of-
doesn't haunt you.
Oh, go ahead, baby.
no.
Make me famous. I'll laugh even more.
That's so good.
I'm glad
So
she's
good.
leaving. But speaking of, we talk about cryptids. What's your favorite cryptid?
I was literally gonna ask you that same thing. Oh man, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
I'll
So
go first. Fresno
we did a-
Nightcrawlers, Disco
Yep.
Pants. That's all I
I
gotta
really
say.
like Tommy Knockers. It's so
Ooh.
Knockers is a
interesting.
good
Tommy
one.
Knockers are really interesting.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
they-
a good one. Also,
There
kind
also
of
was another
paranormal.
Japanese one. I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a spirit that is seen in train yards that carries around a scythe and like drags its body, but it's half
Ooh,
cut off from the waist. I don't remember the name. It was in our
That's-
long 100 list.
Yeah, we
I
did.
haven't heard of that.
We have a 2-part episode called Urban Legends where we talked about.
It was like
Tons
a
of cryptids.
2-minute talk on everyone.
So
we
is
could
that
find.
more of an urban legend, or is that?
It was a mix of both.
I think
little
it
bit of
was
both?
like
A hybrid.
local folklore that was like living legend that people would say they would see that was a spirit or a cryptic, but it was one of those where it's like they just roped it in with the rest of it.
Right. You're like, we don't know which one, so we'll just call it this.
Yeah, so it's like it's also an obscure like hear me out. If I see like a disembodied half person crawling with
Oh,
a
I'm
scythe,
out. I'm out.
yeah, that
Bye.
might get me up. Like that might get me.
No, my courage has left the building. I don't care.
God, favorite cryptic.
Dude, I know
don't even
it's
know.
Yeah,
That's
what's
so.
your favorite cryptid?
Oh, I'm gonna change it. The Night Marchers.
Yeah,
Like
I would say
that
Night Marchers
story,
probably.
it's not really cryptic, but
kinda,
it's
ghosts are cryptic. What are you
I
talking
guess
about?
you could say so. It's more of like their folklore that is
love my
like
ghosts.
Hawaiian as hell. And it's super interesting because apparently there's like a tribe of like Hawaiians that would march through like the islands at night. And if you looked upon the head, I guess the tribe leader or whatever, that
You'd
you
piss
would
yourself
die
and
basically.
die.
Right
But
there.
like there's
you got
so
your
many
pens on.
people saying like that you would hear like the rhythmic like drumming and like the haka and like you would hear the footsteps and like people marching through your house at night. And it's like that's so interesting. I've never heard of this before.
I haven't either. In fact, I'm writing it down.
Yep, night
Yeah,
magic.
definitely a really cool topic
Yeah,
that
it's
no
super
one
fun.
knows much about.
I haven't heard of
I
that
guess
one.
my
I
other
have a
like
couple.
favorite cryptic would have to be Bigfoot, just because
I mean,
like
It's a classic.
true.
it's the one, like, we all know now that the Patterson film was a fake for
I'm
sure,
so fucking mad
but
about that.
there's so many other really good videos that are
Oh, I
unexplainable
remember.
out there.
I could, like, even as a kid, like my grandparents had a cabin in the kind of northern woods of Wisconsin,
Mhm.
totally off the map, right? And to keep me out of the woods, little kid, Grandpa would say, "There's Yeti in the woods." That was his threat. He'd say, "There's Yeti. They're gonna get you." Like, so that was my fear, not bears. Yeti.
Somebody did an episode on. We did an episode on the Night
We did.
Marchers. We're probably the first podcast to ever do the
Honestly,
Night Marchers.
yeah, I've never heard anybody else
We
talk
might be
about
the
it.
only podcast that's ever done anything on the Night Marchers.
We look for the most obscure stuff we can find, though. That's for sure.
But that's what makes it interesting. You know,
Mhm.
it's like, what have I not heard before? Because it's inevitably everybody talks about the same 10 cryptids. So I
So,
like the ones that
surprisingly,
There's-
one of our best episodes is that's like done the most numbers
Oh, you're
ever
right.
is Detlef's Pass
Yep, in Russia.
in
Is it
Russia.
Russia? Or is it
Yeah.
Siberia?
Yeah,
It's-
Siberia.
it's
and
in
Russia.
technically it's in Russia. Yeah, that's actually one of my episodes coming up is Dyatlov.
Really?
Oh.
I'm very
Yes!
excited.
Ours killed
Yeah.
it. So it's like yours, like there's not enough information on at all out there. And we try to do it justice.
Well, they reopened the case.
And that's
they
what I
reopened
heard
it.
too.
That's why we did the
And
episode when we did.
I swear to God, like
Mhm.
everybody that does know the story, it's not paradoxical undressing. It does not make sense why there was radiation found on the bodies, and it does not make sense why they're mutilated the way they were. It was not an avalanche. I'm sorry. Just
No.
listen
But
to
the
her.
radiation
Also, the
part
tent
makes
the
sense.
tent was ripped from the inside, not the outside. The inside.
Yeah. The radiation makes sense though,
It
because
does.
2 of the people did work in the radioactive cleanup for one of the issues.
Yep.
So it
And
kind
then
of, because
I
that stuff
also
stays
was
forever.
hearing, that
you
the
know?
KGB was doing testing out there too, like
And
testing certain weapons.
that's what I want to know. Like, Russia's still doing shady stuff. You know,
Oh,
what makes us think that they
they're
weren't
at
doing it
war.
back then? They're always at war.
So I mean,
Forever and
yeah,
ever.
Dyatlev's Pass though, it's such a cool story. It is so
a really cool story.
It is.
It's
The
so
science of it
bizarre.
makes sense. I wish it was more fantastical than it really is.
I agree.
I'm
Well,
a
same
fan
thing with
about
the hole to hell. The you know what I'm talking about? The drill hole that bores down like
Yeah,
2.9
it's like a
kilometers.
big
yeah, yeah, yeah.
hole, kind of.
Yeah, but it's all the audio is literally them. Whoever took the audio stole it from a fucking movie, and then
Right.
threw it on there. But like the actual borehole is real. So it's
Well,
like,
there's all kinds of weird sinkholes and
Mhm.
you know, weird. It doesn't make sense type of things, and it's just creepy because it's a huge, gigantic, gaping. Lake Crescent's like that in Washington. I don't know if you've ever heard about Lake Crescent in Washington.
Is
that
it?
there is
It's supposed to be something
Mhm.
underneath the lake, right? Like a pocket or something.
no.
Or am I completely
so,
wrong?
Yeah, this is a different one. Lots of people
Okay.
have heard of a different Lake Crescent. So
Oh, I
Lake
know.
Crescent.
I'm thinking of something completely different. I'll tell you
Thinking of
after.
something else?
Yeah.
So there was an investigation that brought us out there called the Lady of the Lake or the Soap Lady. And it was a lady that was found. She had been in these waters for a while, deceased. And because of the concentration of the water, her fat within her body had turned saponified. She turned to soap. But an interesting part about the lake is that the natives say there is no bottom. And
Really?
it just goes and goes and goes forever.
Just the
And
infinite pool.
it's an infinite pool. And it's one of those waters where when you stand at the edge, it literally just goes.
It just
black.
drops.
It just drops. And the water is so cold and the elements are so perfect. It is crystal clear.
That's so cool.
And I could totally understand why the natives would believe
Yeah. Well,
that there's something
how are you?
going on
You
there.
look down into a vast body of water
Just
that
a
you see.
void.
You see the floor, and there's just a massive black hole.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You're like, what's going
weird.
on there? I mean, hell, we've driven across Lake Michigan, and sure, there's a lot going on there, or any of the lakes, but we can
We're just
find
now
the bottom.
finding ships still.
Still. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's 2023. Look at all the cool equipment we have.
Mm-hmm.
So much probably happened in the Great Lakes that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like
We were a huge
within-
bootlegger
like
area.
even, yeah, even
mean,
just like the
yeah.
Indians, like
Fur trading,
That
all
too.
that.
all the traffic that went across, all of the boats that came from the ocean all the
Right.
way to Michigan.
all the
Like,
locks.
Ooh. My thing that's really got me intrigued right now is there's a Russian scientist. Yeah, boo, fuck Russia. But so
I agree.
apparently there is a lake in Antarctica that they're drilling down into, and they were taking the core samples back out of the ice, which apparently the ice was really thick wherever they were drilling onto this lake. But once they got the core samples back out and they analyzed it, the oxygen saturation levels for where this cavity that was underneath the lake was supposed to be, which it was literally a cavern. So it wasn't just like filled with water. Like life could live down there. It could
It's like an air
literally be-
pocket.
Exactly. And they said it was 20% richer, so it was likely it sustained life. We've never seen what's down there. Never.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
been
what's
sealed
living there?
ever
there
since.
could be a whole different
Exactly.
atmosphere.
There could be fucking dinosaurs down there for all we know.
Right.
Like we don't know. And it's
Little
just so
pocket of
intriguing to
time.
me.
Oh, that's an interesting concept. Like it would kind of be like cryo freezing a little bit if the conditions were perfect and life was able
Or
to
it's just like
sustain
you
in
you
these
throw
pockets.
Yeah.
what makes me think of is like you take a big bubble, like how like the dome would be, and then everybody's living there in 1999 and they just dome it up and that's it. You don't advance any farther than
time
that
capsule.
except for what people in there are doing.
Yeah. It's forever sustained.
Mhm.
It's
Who knows?
it's
what
tricky
you
though
would do.
because beings, we decay. We
Yeah.
decay no matter
Yeah,
what.
everything that
So
we see has a half-life. It will
no matter
eventually
what.
decay.
But what if you changed the atmosphere? What if you changed those things? The oxygen level's
Terraforming.
different. So different. Decomposition. You put a body that's in a vacuum, it technically, and it's refrigerated, won't do anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's how they do those crazy glass coffins. And I just don't. I think there's so totally could be cells or something that's chilling in there that is untouched.
Yep.
That's
And
interesting.
that's the only thing to me that makes sense. You can't tell me that there is not some possibility that there are life forms that we still are discovering life forms every day on this planet, in the oceans, in the rainforest, that we still
Yeah.
are like, that's
We've
a
only
subspecies
we've
of
only
this,
found
but
this much of the ocean.
Yeah.
This much.
I
in the
literally
grand scheme of
yesterday I
things.
was on Twitter and I saw that they found a jellyfish that had these long arms that came off of it at the bottom of
Yeah, like,
one of
where did
those
you come from?
and they were like, "Well, that looks like this kind of jellyfish, but they don't got arms like that." And it's like,
Right.
you just
Different
found an
species.
alien.
Yeah. Technically,
Yeah,
it's an alien.
technically.
Literally.
They found like I think it was the Russian scientists because they've been going to Antarctica for a long time doing
Oh,
research
yeah.
down there. But they were actually able to find like a virus that was like
Oh,
from the
yeah.
dinosaur age.
Hidden in the
Yeah, it was like
permafrost.
a dead
in the permafrost.
Yep, a dead
Mhm.
virus that they revived because the permafrost melted. I remember reading
And
that
now
too.
it's out here in the open. Congratulations, scientists.
And I don't want to make it all like conspiracy theory, all this and that, but like we can even talk
That's
about
what we're
some of
here for. What are you
the
talking about?
virus that everybody knows and talks about. Most likely was a virus that was handled by humans and that was not handled correctly. It's probably not all this magical science fiction stuff that everybody thinks
Right.
happened. It's literally probably somebody didn't
Right.
follow the right protocol. And that
Somebody
can happen
dropped the
with
vial or got it on
tuberculosis.
their arms or
Yep.
Yeah.
And they do this everywhere where they like the disease control centers. They have vials of these awful, awful viruses and diseases and like the plague because you need
You
the
gotta make a
original
cure.
sequence to do anything with that.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah,
absolutely.
they just have that shit.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yep. Well, then it makes me think like Area 51. Yeah. They probably are
Oh,
not
I want to
hiding what
dive
we
into
think
that.
they are
I
there.
have so many alien books. Oh my god. I don't even know
Do
where
you
to start.
do you
At this
think
point,
that
I'm
Area
actually
51 is the
overwhelmed.
black site they say it is though?
I don't
That
think it
that's where they
is.
have all the stuff that we don't want to see, or do you think they have it hidden somewhere where
I
nobody
think
knows?
They
I
just
think
don't
it was
think
used
so.
for reverse technology research. I don't think it was
Yeah.
used for storing aircrafts or storing aliens. I think it was literally used for the reconstruction of alien technology.
Or why they guard it so heavily is I've theorized this is
Technology.
not only that, it's their main server. That's where they connect to the Pentagon, they connect to everything. Like that's just where their infrastructure and their system is built from. And they have to keep that secret because anybody that has any type of computer science background or whatnot, you take these AI bots now, you give it a prompt and you give it a code, it will crack 90% of the
Do
fucking
anything.
stuff out there that we have
Mhm.
nowadays. And it's like, okay,
Because it doesn't think like a human.
no. And
Yeah.
there's been 3 accounts now
math.
where humans have been tricked by AI to do AI's bidding.
Yeah.
And this is proven.
I do enjoy like the original Area 51, you know, like how can I say it? I'll call it banter.
Yeah.
About back and forth about what happened. The pictures you see are obviously they're very, you know, National Enquirer type of things.
Yeah.
But I just enjoy diving into these old books. Again, books that are written by maybe some journalist that found a scientist that created this. Like
Yep.
it's these weird pieces of conversation that the general didn't hear about.
Yep.
And that's what I enjoy. There's just
I
so
like,
much. Oh my God.
Who's the guy recently that came out and he said he worked for the CIA or maybe
Bob
it was Area
Lazar?
51. Bob Lazar is one of them. He's the first whistleblower, but there was recently somebody else that just came forward and is like, I was specifically tasked with this higher like classification in this department. I forgot if it's like Homeland Security, CIA, FBI. It's one of those crazy ones, but he had super secret clearance to go pick up bioorganic material that was supposedly from aircraft that were not of this planet. And it was his job. And he's been spilling the beans. And it theoretically makes sense because he's given a lot of good information that would actually make it seem pretty real. I just don't remember the guy's
and
name.
this is like insider, I'll call this insider information. So I had to hold a secret clearance when I was in.
Yes, I love
I'm not
this.
breaking any. I'm not breaking.
Yeah,
any
you're not
rules
like this
by
is not a
talking about it.
taboo. Like this
yeah,
is just
this is not a
fact.
taboo. I did in order to be and know the nuclear side of things. I had to have a secret clearance. I was
Rush,
able to
that's it.
look and see what they did and who they talked to find out that I had a clear. I'm a nobody.
Yeah.
Really, in the grand scheme of things. So if one person like me, if they went through it all, how are these people still alive if it's true?
I also asked the question, how do you get picked to just like give up your life to be in this top secret clearance organization of whatever?
Bob
Like,
Lazar kind of went over his
I just
like how he did, like how
It's
they
so
got
wild.
him. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen his documentary that he had.
He was on Joe Rogan too, right?
Yeah, and he was on Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan basically asked him the same thing, and he said it was back in the day, and he just got an email for a job interview. He went to it, they hired him, and next thing he knows, he's
How
getting.
old is he? Do you know how
Bob
old he is?
Lazar? I think
He's like in his 60s
I was gonna
now.
say like late 50s, early 60s is what I think. I think Grush is a lot younger than he is. I think he's in his early 40s, honestly.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have really come into his prime until like the 80s. So
Yeah.
all that stuff was gone. I don't.
Although
I have a
when
hard
was
time with
Valiant
that.
Thor? When was
Valiant Thor was when Kennedy was in.
I don't know when
See, now
Kennedy was
that's a
in.
little closer because we're going to space. We're doing the space race. We're doing all this stuff. We're still
Mhm.
kind of close-ish.
Do you know about
we're
Valiant
still away
Thor?
from the 40s. I don't recognize that name.
Oh,
But I haven't,
that's
I
a
haven't
good
dove
topic
super
for
into the
you.
modern
give her a little
stuff.
sit
So, Valiant Thor is supposedly an alien in the 60s that came down from space and had taken on the appearance of a human and had asked specifically to higher up officials to speak to President Kennedy. And once he did speak to Kennedy, he basically said, "So, I would like to abduct people for study, and we can report them as missing people. We'll trade." And there might have been technology advancements involved in this deal
You're
too.
right, but what had happened was Valiant Thor was
What had happened
tasked-
was
he was tasked with coming to Earth, meeting with the higher ups, and basically saying, "Listen, we've been abducting people. We're going to continue abducting people, but just so you know, like we won't do anything if you allow us to abduct a certain number of people a year." And then they worked out this number, whatnot, behind closed doors, and he lived in the Pentagon for a long time. And then once his task was done, he just basically like melted into ash and vaporized. But then the weird part was that same year that Valiant Thor had been interviewed and this made a way out, the amount of abductions went up like significantly. Like missing peoples went up. Like a lot of stuff that really, it's like you can draw the lines. It's then again, I do sound really crazy when I say I'm drawing these parallels, but it's like, it's weird. It's definitely something to like keep in mind when you're like trying to like backtrack through all the random shit that's there.
And there's apparently photos of Valiant Thor, but no one can identify the men.
Apparently, he looked just like me and you. Like there could be Valiant Thor like.
They said he was a beefcake.
Yeah, like a beautiful like blonde-haired, blue-eyed, just beefcake.
That's literally in the book that we read. That was about him. I remember they said he was a beefcake.
But then again, I go,
What book did you read? Now I need to know.
Like, are they like genetically engineered by aliens?
I don't even remember what was the book called.
I don't.
Was it called
remember
Valiant
either.
Thor?
It might have been. Like I said, we have 150 episodes, and I think that was like number 30.
It was an early episode.
It was a very early episode.
It was actually suggested by my sister.
Mm-hmm. And her episode was what, 3, I think.
So you said what year did this dude show up?
I think this was in the 60s. I think. I don't remember exactly when or like I don't remember any of the dates, to be honest with you. But he was right. It was during the Kennedy era.
It was during the Kennedy era.
First of all, my question, is that a sun drop?
It's a squirt.
Squirt. I was like, sun drop. I'm sorry.
I have such a hard time finding it. I always have a hard time finding it. I will say this though, if you're looking for a refreshing drink, try Dubby, but try it with Gatorade. If anybody like in the chat or anybody else does drink Dubby, like we are partnered with it, so like we can even like throw up our like.
What do you drink?
It's called Dubby. It's a supplement where you can it's like a energy supplement drink basically.
Oh, look at you giving your little shout out.
I said now we're talking about drinks for a second, but yeah, and
right.
like
Speaking
I said,
of
like
beverages,
it goes really well with it. But then again, I'm very particular with what I like to drink.
I know. So am I. I'm like the same things over and over again. But I was asking because the Barney and Betty abduction was in 1961.
So cool too.
And I find that fascinating. I've read
the
all
loss
about
of time and all of it is so interesting.
All of it. My biggest concern was what happened to the dog.
Me too. That was my question.
Like, you mean to tell me she was in the car the whole time?
Yep.
The whole time?
You guys lost how many hours?
Yeah, that means the aliens were like, boop, you just hang out. We're going to take mommy and daddy for a minute.
Or do they have like a warp engine that just press pause and it's like playing a video game and they just pause it?
Yeah, like they're, she's like hanging out, eating snacks in her brain. But
I have a concept after
1961
this
happened.
too.
That seems like everything ramped up after that. And was it because everyone saw that and they were like inspired by that story?
I question that too, but also it was much more taboo back then. People were they were ostracized when they said, "I believe in paranormal stuff."
Oh yeah,
100%.
And that's why these two took a huge chance. Not only were they a biracial couple in the 60s, which was a big deal back
100%.
then, early 60s nonetheless, they were now saying that they had been abducted by aliens, and they had like, A, B, C, D happened.
Well, and then look at where they were found.
The book is called "The Men of Earth: Valiant Thor's Message of Hope to Mankind," and it is by Valiant Thor himself.
That's a title.
Yeah,
holy
put that in the
cow.
chat so that's there.
It's by Dan Fry and Valiant Thor himself. Dan Fry is a reporter who apparently interviewed Valiant Thor before he left Earth.
Okay, so while he's typing that, think about this. AI is so advanced now that we're putting it into video games. And these like artificial intelligent beings in these video games now might one day, I don't know, become conscious of what's around them and then start asking questions.
That's what's scary.
And then you start thinking, wait a minute. There could be an infinite number of universes. We could literally be a fucking Sims game right now.
We are a Sims game.
And this is a messed up Sims game, okay?
I agree.
Yeah, I know. There's no rosebud or motherload cheat. It's messed up.
But then you could even like draw the lines where it's like all the people that say, well, there's not intelligent life out there. Why haven't we seen it? Why hasn't it done this? Because we're all living in a different simulation on a computer. But I don't believe that.
I think about it. Look at we're termites. Really? Yeah. We go to a place, we consume all of its things, we move on to the next one. If I was some super smart alien race, oh no, baby, move on. They're like, just let them. They're going to destroy themselves.
They're monkeys.
We'll sample so that we know that they're there, but just leave them alone.
I like to think that the aliens 100% are like, humans are they're just there.
Tasty.
The cows, they're the intelligent ones. We need to look into that.
That's literally Attack of.
You just say that because you're
Literally
from
from the game.
Michigan.
Kind of. I heard it a few times like last week too, and I was like, see, but like now I'm hearing about the like the southern like countries where the cows are getting mutilated and tongues are missing and eyes are missing and
That's
like
a
internal organs are
chupacabra.
gone without any cuts. And stuff.
That's a chupacabra.
But how does a chupacabra take a liver without cutting the damn thing open?
It's a chupacabra.
It's penis.
It's a chupacabra.
It uses its penis.
Why is that difficult?
Riley, I'm not even gonna like. I'm not even gonna
He's not
entertain
even going to
that.
address you.
It's got a weird one, man.
Are you trying to tell me that
It's all sexual.
chupacabra's-
That's why it does it. It's all
a
sexual.
chupacabra's penis is barbed so hard that it's taking organs out?
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Wow.
That's all I have to say is you're fucked. Oh my god.
What is,
Just
it's
very
always
carefully.
junk jokes. It always seems to be where everybody goes.
I mean,
That's our brain on the
there's
regular.
literally
though,
some
so.
things in the past. Like I don't remember what numbered episodes there are, but there's some things that are on the internet that I can't take back.
Yeah. He said
It's
some things.
Sean.
He said some
It's
things.
out
I'm
there.
surprised we haven't been canceled for. So.
I'm just waiting to be canceled. Like the cancel.
I
culture
still
is-
have a conspiracy theory that after my Heaven's Gate problem, that they're the reason why all of my subs stopped going up.
Oh no, they shadow banned
See,
you.
They shadow banned me.
we hit that too at some point where
It's like the plateau. It's
like we
It
literally had
happened
this one day
right
where
when
we
those
gained
messages
like
happened.
700 followers or something on Facebook, and then we literally in like 3 years we have barely gotten like
But haven't
100.
you
yeah, I
been
think we've
banned
gotten like
too?
50 more. God, that's so funny, dude.
We're like, oh
You
my god, we're
did.
blowing up, and then it just
I swear it was right. It was as soon as I got those, because that's what they did. That's what they built websites and worked on the internet when it first started. So it kind of makes sense.
You know what makes
They got
zero
in there.
sense to me though is how
don't like
I don't want to
them.
say gullible, but how these people were so malleable that somebody told them, "Hey, these are all the right answers, but you got to give me all of your money and you got to move to this compound and you got to live in a
Yeah.
compound with random people you've never met before and you all have to believe the same stuff and you have to believe that I am the Almighty."
Well, because when you look at those people, you have to. So even if just take back to the Heaven's Gate, all the videos, their exit videos that they did when they were getting ready to leave, right?
Mhm.
They all made these videos about what do you have to say? What are your last words, essentially? And you can tell they're maybe a little different. You can tell by their words. Maybe they've been done wrong. That society hasn't been hasn't treated them well, and that's
Right.
what they're looking for. They're looking for a leader. They're looking for some place to be great. They're looking for that. But ultimately, like you're gonna die. You're gonna die, and I don't understand that. Like that's where I'm like, how far are you willing to go? You can tell they're ready to leave. On their exit, they had a like a log. When they're like, this is the last time you're leaving, because they had a log every time they went in and
Yep.
went out. That was like their log, and some of them just said never or not again, or instead of just their name and their date, they had something to say. You can tell those people were ready to go. It had nothing to do with the
So
cult.
interesting to me.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes what I've kind of thought and theorized is that sometimes the reason people find a cult or fall into a cult is because they are having something happen with their life that we're probably never going to understand. And
Right.
then for some
Does
reason,
does
this cult
anybody
comes
though?
around, or this person's coming around speaking about all these things that
And it's an answer.
somehow, the way these cult leaders word things, no matter what they say, you feel like you're connecting to it, right? Even if you don't believe in it. Like you could sit and listen to Jim Jones and you're like, start
Right.
to feel a
And there's
connection with him.
pieces.
Right. He's putting in, I mean, that's what preachers do. They say things so that no matter what they're talking about out there, you might find some type of connection to keep you engaged in conversation with them, or the conversation that they're having with you, or whatever they're preaching to you. Is the reason you fall into a cult is because this person is believing in you,
Believing.
right?
Right. Air quotes.
They have faith in you that if you follow them, you'll have faith in whatever it is that they're giving. So I
Yeah.
think
I think it's
it
just
makes
crazy.
sense.
It's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Those cults that are like they go to the end of the very, very end,
Yeah.
where they're like, "We're leaving. We're
It's
leaving
wild
on
just you
this
see the
on this
transition
Hale-Bopp
then
comet."
too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's why, because these people that from this particular cult, I was like, if you're a member, then why are you here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they're gone, baby. They're gone.
Yeah, like they literally were the away team. They had
Yeah.
jackets with patches that said away team because they
Away
knew
team.
they were
They
going to
had
die and go.
exactly. They had a flight bag. They had money in their pocket so that they could go where they're going. They're gone.
Yeah.
So if you are a member and you're touting all this information, why are you here? It's like they can't defend you and you can't defend them. You're just somebody on the internet. Like, they don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing that I always kicks my ass is like, I'm entitled to my own opinions. Like, just because I have a difference in opinion doesn't mean I'm like discrediting you completely.
Yeah.
Like, no, I just have a difference in opinion.
Yeah. And that's, but I know that's, you're gonna come across that if you guys
Oh,
cover conspiracies.
100%.
That was the first time I had anybody in a cult that was like, stick to cryptids, stay out of our business. It was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
I'm sorry.
Like, sorry.
Thought it was free advertisement for you.
Yeah.
So-
And I was like, thanks for watching.
I
Stay
agree with
tuned.
that. How do you feel about things like vampires or like werewolves or like things that like
See,
the
those are
main media
tricky.
stuff where it's like these are the tropes that people play out? Like, do you think they're
Mhm.
real? Do you
Vampires
think
are
that
not
these-
real.
Shush! You don't say that to me. I don't actually know. They might be.
Well, I think we want to believe, because in the movies, even the really nasty vampires,
Mhm.
they're kind of there's an intrigue, they're sexy, they're dark, they go after the women, they go after the
Are
whatever.
vampires always sexy?
Twilight, bro.
Think about it. Really, even the ones like think about the ones even in Blade where they have like the faces that come open.
Yeah.
They pick like the dude that's not so bad to look at.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
he's
like-
got the strong jawline and it opens up to even stronger jawline.
Yeah. People are like, what is this? Okay, I want to be a vampire. And that's what we cling to. But I think it's just literature. Sure, there
Yeah.
might be people that have conditions where they're obsessed with blood or they feel like they need it. They probably just have, an imbalance within their blood system where they're craving liver and onions, but really they say that they want the blood of so and so.
I mean,
or
look at the
they're-
Liver King.
they're a
That
little
man ate raw fucking meat. I mean, granted, he did steroids, but like, he didn't die. He just ate raw food like
He
that
just ate-
every day.
Well, and we can, we can. The problem is the stuff that's been sitting in the grocery store is loaded full of whatever.
It's
where
so funny.
technically
I had
could-
that
you
conversation
could.
with my boss today about he's
Giga
like,
Chad.
he's like,
Giga-
bro, we need to start eating better because we're all gonna die of diabetes in 10 years. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, probably.
diabetes.
I eat like a fucking at least half a tin of cookies a night, like like Oreos are my fucking bane.
Oh, shut up!
Man.
Look at you, you little skinny Michigan.
I
bastard.
have
You're like,
never
"I
been
eat
able to
half a
gain
tin of
weight."
Oreos. You can.
I weighed 130 pounds until I was 27, and I'm 6'1" and have been since high school. And just this year, since I've am now going into 4 years of dadhood, I started drinking more beer and hanging out with all of my dad friends, and now I finally weigh the weight that I should. And it's
Right.
like, oh my god.
And now we're all sitting around doing paranormal investigations for 8 hours,
Yep.
not doing anything.
Or editing. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
sitting
It's
at
a-
our computers doing this for 12 hours.
It's not even a joke. That 7-minute
And I already
video
do that 40 hours
took
a
me
week.
14 motherfucking hours. Like, I'm not even joking because I kept fucking it up over and over again and had to restart.
And you still.
Well, it's like, and that's how we want to
times.
deliver the information.
Oh man.
But
And I
it's,
told
you
him
know,
I was
like, you
gonna
wanna-
peer
you
review
wanna-
it, and I didn't.
And you didn't. You said just
I
do
go,
it.
no, I'm gonna react live.
Yeah, I just want to see it raw.
Honestly, that's how we like to do a lot of stuff. So like we will do a little research here and there, but when there's a topic that we're both like super interested in and we don't either know a goddamn thing about it, it's like let's learn together. Let's learn with the viewers. Like, let's just
Yeah.
make it a big thing.
Yeah, that's kind of been our
Yeah,
go-to.
I don't
think-
like to do research either. I just like to
I
go
don't
on the
like
seat of my pants. You know, just go for it.
We've tried the hard research thing, and
We're just so sporadic.
We're so over the place that like
Like,
next thing
it's
you know, we're
bad.
talking about the lions and like not even on
Right.
the topic anymore.
Squirrel finds another squirrel, finds
Yep.
another squirrel. Yeah.
Well,
I-
like the best conversations that we usually have are like always off the cusp, where it's like, "Yo, actually, Leviathans."
Leviathan.
Like they're
Yeah.
real.
We're
They're
like
in the ocean.
we're the kids that like when you got put on a school project, you're like, oh God, no,
Like,
not
these
these,
fucking guys?
not this guy.
Yeah.
Like
Oh no, that's the problem. Is
The
I didn't
project
wanna,
will be
I didn't want
great,
to talk
but
about
ha-
what they were
stay
talking
keeping them
about.
on
I had my
topic.
own ideas.
I don't know if you can attest to this, but like I was the nerdy, like the the nerd clown. When I was like, "Yo, you guys want to see a funny video? You guys ever seen a whale blow up? Because they used to stick dynamite in them to clear the beaches."
My hubby showed me that. Oh my god. Oh
It's
my
so
gosh.
fucking crazy.
So,
And they use too much
Mr.
dynamite.
Creep is 10 years older than me. So he has 10 years of catalog of all the shenanigans that's happened that I missed.
Oh
so
my God,
I
I
get to
love
see
that.
all kinds of videos that
Oh
existed,
yeah.
you know, from TV or whatever. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Dude, Mr. Dog is so on point. I have asked the Snapchat AI and Chat GPT, what are some not like less known cryptics that I could cover for my podcast? And it will give me a list.
You lazy.
We have so many that I'm like, I honestly don't even know what to look up anymore.
Just grab a book.
See, I wish I had more time to read in a day because it's like I work 10, 11 hours. I get home, make dinner, and it's
too.
like, oh, now I got to do like editing. Now I got to go to bed. I didn't get to do anything that like the fun
Oh,
stuff that I
same.
wanted to do.
Oh my God, that's so true. I work 10.5-hour days. And by the time I get home, I also make dinner. And I'm like, I know, I'm tired. And then I
don't
find
wanna-
myself at 2
gotta
a.m. in the morning.
decompress. You gotta.
Like I'm also a super big anime fan. And like we are closing in on the end of the Demon Slayer, like this next season.
So your
And I'm like,
prioritizing is a little
yeah, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch it. Everybody on Twitter, it's all over the place. I don't want any spoilers. And I'm sitting here like, it's like 11 o'clock. I'm still working on this video. I'll watch it. Like I'm just gonna keep pushing it off.
Just
And now I'm
keep
like
going.
4 episodes behind, and I'm like, what happened?
Instead, you're binging Creepy Confidential. Thank you.
Literally, every time I go to work, it's like I've listened to every single podcast, every single song that I could possibly find that is right up my niche alleys, and it's and then I find something like yours, and it's like this is so refreshing. Like I love this.
Because it's different. And
Yep.
that's what's crazy. I didn't do it because of my voice, which is gonna sound crazy. I for the longest time, because I sound like a Wisconsinite, right? And I'm like, oh, I don't sound like anybody out there. You know, like I don't have that. So today, guys, we're gonna be talking about.
Oh.
No, that's not me. I'm like,
We're the
oh, there's another
machine
Bigfoot over there, and
Oh, sorry.
it doesn't go away. And finally, I had the people around me were like, what? You're perfect. Like this is what makes you different.
This
You're gonna
is it.
stick out. You don't. It's perfect. And I remember I recorded myself like probably 2 times, and I'm like, I deleted it because I'm like, I sound ridiculous.
Me and
And
him
everybody
both were
was
the
like,
same way.
no, you don't. It's
We used to
hilarious.
pause every time we record something and be like, all right, we gotta go back and edit this. I didn't like that. Like we gotta redo it.
Oh my
Until
gosh,
finally
we were
like,
so anal
"Fuck
when we
that."
first started, and then eventually we both just said episodes are
record it.
taking too long. Like it
Yeah.
shouldn't take us 7 hours to record a hour
Like,
episode.
if I stumble over a word
So
laugh,
true.
just laugh at
Like
me.
we
I don't care.
literally used to like. So he has a tendency to say like a lot. I have a tendency to say like a lot.
I
Mine
swear
is
like
so.
Taylor.
I say
used
so
to
a lot.
go back through every single episode and delete out certain like we were so nitpicky about it because we were reading
You're
online
pulling
that,
out
"Oh, you
slivers that
can't
are
say
like this
stuff
big."
because people aren't going to listen to you, blah blah blah." Well, hey, almost 14,000 downloads later, who's listening to us?
Yes,
Right.
words are hard. Thank you.
Yeah.
Words are
And
100%
there's so
hard.
many times too we'll be doing a topic right and a word will come up and we'll just go, yep, don't know that one. And just
We're gonna use a different
Yeah.
word.
How can I say it another way? Let me look at that.
Like we'll see a name and it'll be like Dr. like Heejin Fengshan. And we'll be like,
God
that's
bless
Jimothy.
you.
That's
Yeah, we
Dr.
just
Jim.
changed their name.
I will
That's
look
Dr.
up like
Jim now.
Google pronunciation, and I'll sit there and play it where they're like, "Sickic."
We did that with Dial-Toff.
So I'm like, well, how do you say it?
Yep, I think there was a good 15 minutes for the Dilatov Pass episode. We're like, is it Dyatlov? Dilatov? Do we say it
Dyatlov.
like we're
Do we just say
Dyatlov
Devil's Pass?
Yeah, you say Devil's Pass.
It's so much easier.
Dyatlov. It's just fun to say. It just rolls off. Dyatlov.
Yep. What always catches me off guard too is like we'll start doing the stuff that's like the southern what do you want to call it? Like Native American stuff or like the Mayan stuff or any of the ancient civilizations that are like south of America.
Come on. We don't even say basic words right.
No,
let
I
alone
can't.
we know how to say the natives that are in our area. Oneida, Menominee, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Potawatomi,
Oh.
Chippewa.
Yeah, Chippewa. After that, no, it's outside of our 10 words. That's it.
Yep.
That's all we get.
Algonquin native tribes of the Great Lakes region. There we go.
Yeah. Just make it a regional name.
Yep,
Yeah,
I like to
I
throw
have
the
a hard
blanket
time with
over
words.
it and say we're good.
Yeah, just say natives.
Dad, I'm calling it 1,300 hours. The blanket over it. Oh my god.
Oh,
Also,
nice. You got cups?
I was gonna say, is that a Creepy Confidential cup? Where can we
is.
find those?
This is a prototype. Soon.
When you release these, I want one.
You
I
want
love
one?
Same.
that.
Definitely want one.
Yeah, I drink a lot of beverages. This is my baby.
We have our merch site, but I still have yet to see anybody
We have
buy any of the
we have cuff
mugs.
cups.
Do you have a coffee mug?
My grandma has like 2 or 3 of
Has
them.
she used it and said that it's not like
Yeah,
flaky or
Rosie has
crappy?
one. It's like
Nice.
Rosie uses my
I
friend
have
Rosie
had
uses
this
one all the
for
time.
a while because I wanted to try it out and like see.
Yeah,
how it
give her the old
fares.
run through.
Oh man, I put dishwasher, you name it, and it's holding
held.
up. So I'll be releasing these. Yeah, that's Creepy Confidential.
So where did you
Exclusive.
get the name Creepy Confidential? Like how did that just fall into your lap? Because I love that name a lot.
Yeah.
So I am a huge fan of the 40s, 50s noir style, like the old radio that they used to do.
Yes. I love
used
the
to listen
sound
to
of old
AM
radio.
880. I like an addict for AM 880. They do shows and like the LA Confidential. Usually I am in like 40s, 50s style. And I've always been just drawn to that, and 60s. And then I was like, oh, I like things that are creepy. And then I put creepy and LA Confidential together. And then the
so good.
logo,
Oh,
I love it, right? It's so good.
So
and then
good.
the logo, I wanted all of the ideas. And Mr. Creep is a graphic designer. And
Oh, perfect.
Right? Like I have a live-in. So if you notice, a lot of the graphics are actually done by him.
Hey,
I'm like,
shout out.
so I need this. Yeah, shout out. MVR Creative. They do my work. And on a
wonderful
yellow
work, too.
sticky note, I literally put a triangle with an eyeball in it. I
Like
put
the Eye
a
of
stick
Horus.
figure, just an eye,
Yep.
and then I put a stick figure drawn like walking up the side, and then I drew like a disc in the corner. And I was like, can you make this
Your
thing?
art is exactly how me and him do it. We're like, no, I can't draw. Just draw a stick figure. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. And like he did the Love Has Won episode. Did you see the art for that?
Yeah, I love that
Yeah.
too. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah. So imagine somebody coming to a graphic artist saying, so I need a mummified woman that's blue with a crown in a sleeping bag with Christmas lights around it. Can you do
Huh?
this? And I want it to, yeah. And I'm like, and I want it to look like Finn from Adventure Time.
I love that so much. So, do you love
And that's
Adventure
what
Time?
he created. Oh yeah, I've watched all of it.
Have you seen the creators' more adult show?
I haven't because I'm such a purist.
It's so good. That's what I referenced
the old
earlier. The
stuff.
throw a blanket over it. That's from that show. What is that called? I literally watched it like a couple months ago and I haven't watched it since. But if you know the name of the creator, you can look it up and then it'll come up. I
Yeah.
think it's like something Friends or something. But it's hell.
And I think every time I watched that, I was like, these people are on drugs. Like a
Yeah.
lot.
I was like, they're tripping balls.
I'm talking like they
Like,
took a little bit
whoa.
of category A and a little bit of category B, and then they took them all at once. And that's this episode. It's just some of it doesn't make sense.
Took a little bit of LSD, did a little mushrooms, finished it off with some Molly.
Yeah, and this is the art from this Adventure Time episode. But I think that's I enjoy that kind of art, kind of that bubbly kind of
I
thing.
like the style a lot.
The lemon
Yeah.
grab episode. Yeah, I think.
Oh my gosh, we do that voice all the time in this house. We're like, 1 million years dungeon. If any of us do things we're not supposed to, I mean, there's only 2 of us, so you can imagine that. We yell at the cats all the time.
This place is
unacceptable
God, you guys are gonna make me cry. I'm gonna laugh so hard.
But I will say that, like, a lot of my art, it's a lot of me coming to the table with my knowledge of the cryptid,
Yep.
you know, or the episode. Like, also the Flatwoods Monster, the Fresno Nightcrawler. That's MVR Creative.
What's the Fresno Nightcrawler? Like what is?
You'll have to
I've
listen to
never
her
heard-
episode.
I know that's the one that I.
You
didn't
need to listen to the
to.
episode. Actually, it's better. That one's actually better to watch on the YouTube because I have tons of visual.
I know what I'm
aids
gonna
on
do
there.
tonight.
Yeah, it's not very long. You know, my episodes, like the
I'll say,
longest one I have is like almost
if
an
you
hour.
guys aren't familiar with, if the Night Crew is not familiar with her podcast or her videos or whatnot, they are very, very, very watchable. They're 20 minutes long. They're not like our hour 45, 3 hours.
But sometimes you're in a mood for that, you know. That's
Oh, we
okay.
do have shorter episodes out there, but
It's hard when we get going to stop.
It
Yeah.
is, well,
It's
especially if
funny
it's something
too.
that you're interested in,
Hmm.
and that part's hard to do. But
Yeah,
I
the
think
passion's there.
the longest episode was Love Has Won. It was 55 minutes long because there was so much information to talk about. But otherwise, the rest of them, they're usually under a half an hour. Like I love the little ones, like Spontaneous Human Combustion was only like.
Yeah, I just started that one, so don't spoil it for me. We
It's
just
so
started it today.
interesting.
I won't.
It's-
I was
it is-
obsessed. Did you guys ever watch Unsolved Mysteries?
Yes, I love Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, I
The
watched a lot
original
of them.
Robert
Hometown
Stack.
actually was just featured in the new episodes of Unsolved. That's on Netflix right now.
Yeah,
I loved
UFO
it.
episode.
I can, like a little kid watching Unsolved Mysteries. That is probably the reason why
I still go back and watch it on Pluto
That's
because they
definitely-
have it on that the
Same.
channel where it's just all of the old ones.
Yeah,
As
that's
soon as the
definitely a show
theme
for my
song
childhood,
starts, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm glued. I'm
yeah,
glued.
it's
Yeah.
it literally and
When
like
you see Robert Stack walk out in his trench coat,
I was just gonna
I'm
say
like,
like
"Ooh,
you
what are
hear
we
Robert
watching?"
Stack's voice and you're like, hallelujah, my man.
Yeah.
you are
The
you,
goat.
you are
The
going
man.
for just the pure radio just magic he created.
his voice. Oh,
it's so
yeah.
silky.
But I loved his episodes though, like when they would veer off from the crime, which I enjoy
Yeah.
the crime too. But they would veer off, and like they had an episode about how all these family members that were connected, you know, genetically,
Hmm.
had this high ratio of being struck by lightning.
Yeah, why?
And it was like when you line them all up, if only one in so many 100,000 people are struck by lightning, how come within this family,
yeah,
80%
you can
of them
literally
have been
take
struck by lightning?
6 of these 50
I was
million
obsessed.
people, and
Yeah,
they're the ones that
obsessed
are
with
more
that
like,
episode.
That's
And
pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. Like, what is in your chemical makeup? Are you an alien? You know,
Right.
like what
Does
is-
that have something
what's
to
within
do?
you?
Does your chemical makeup have something
I
to
was
do
just gonna
if
say-
you become a ghost or not?
are you adding chromosomes when you inbreed like that? Like I'm just saying, like is that like?
Well, when you
hey,
look
now
at
I've
'em,
got
you
more
kinda
mercury in
question
my
it.
blood.
Oh man, I remember that, and even the one about spontaneous human combustion was like thrown in with like other things that had nothing to do with it. So you could get kind of a sampling of crime mixed with Fortean, mixed with ghosts. I loved it. Oh my god, I loved it.
Okay, I love this question, Mr. Dog put. Okay, but I'm gonna add one more to that. Who wins in a fight, Robert Stack, Indrid Cold, or Zach Baggins?
Oh,
Who's winning?
That's
in
a
the
good
fight?
fight to the death
Actually,
right there.
let's swap Zach Baggins for Art Bell. Art Bell was probably more along the lines of like a Robert Stack type because
Right.
he did like the radio shows and stuff. Now I'm like,
I think the voice, because we don't really know what Indrid Cold sounded like.
true.
And I don't think I could look at a man that's constantly smiling creepily.
They had all the electrolytes.
It's just true. Or
from
that like
bringing them.
weird. Mhm.
It's
Mhm. I couldn't do it.
I
Where
don't think
Robert
I could
Stack
do it
always
either.
had this intrigued look, like, next we're going to be talking about. It was very like
Like I'm
you were just
pondering the next
glued.
thing you're gonna say.
Yeah, like you were just on his breath about what you wanted to talk about, and you could literally be interested in something that you probably weren't interested in.
Oh yeah.
So that's I love.
I will give a lot of credit to Art Bell though for like opening my perception on a lot of things. Because like I wasn't even like introduced to it till I was older. And then when I got introduced to it, I started listening back to it and I was like, oh wow. Like some of these people that called in have some really, really crazy stories that aren't mainstream stuff that you never hear about. Or people's theories, like how we theorize and all that stuff. Like I loved it. And then I started thinking to myself, man, look at the list of people he got to interview. Look at all of these like extremely well-known like researchers at the time that are just like the top leading like scientists in their fields. Like all these physicists. It's amazing. It's so interesting to me.
Yeah, and I had actually that was a recent thing I discovered was the Coast to Coast, because I think they're still online.
Yeah,
And
we actually completely tangent before you get into that. I just met Art Bell's old producer. Her name is Michelle Freed. She is still in marketing and actually can get us locked into a bunch of interviews with some of the people that were on Coast to Coast. So
that's cool.
I'm super excited to like finally sit down and like talk to her.
Is
and
he
see where
still around? Or is
I
he on
don't
the
think
other
Art's
side?
alive anymore, but I think that his successor is still doing it.
Still there? Oh man, because that was I think there's things like that. It makes it approachable.
Yes.
In a subject that you get a lot of weirdos.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I mean I'm a weirdo.
Yeah, me too.
But there's different levels of weirdo. And I
Yeah,
think
like are we at Alice in the Hat or are we like scratching the surface?
I think we should stay at the surface because
Yeah, sometimes I'm like I want to go deeper, but where am I?
Those are the
lose
people that they
myself?
interview when there's like something crazy happened. They find that one guy or that one girl. Like, why are you interviewing this one person that's like, well, I saw back in the, no, you don't need that.
Well, I was down on a farm and I was looking out in the stars and I ended up seeing something bright out there.
I had me an experience up there in the woods.
Wearing a Dale Earnhardt shirt.
It was tall. I was about 10, 12 Budweisers deep.
And I promise you, this is not being mean to anybody. Like we literally act like idiots
It's
all the time.
factual. You
It's
can
just a
literally look
character.
up all these things. But that's the problem. Is this is the person? It's either that or it's an urban community, or you get the like hoity-toity person. Like you take the one extremist from every community, and that's the person they interview. Why?
The
Why?
wackos, because it makes
The
for most
complete
fun
weirdos. You get and you get the you get the Ethels or
Greg
whatever, and they're
Norris
like,
and
well,
whatnot.
I was looking out my window and I saw just this thing flying from the sky, and they have this personality where you're like, they're paid. Like,
Yep.
why are you here?
Oh, I mean, like the videos that always make me laugh the hardest are the spoof ones where it's like I know you've seen them, the Arby's guy, where he's like, I don't even remember what he says. Like he's talking about Satan and Arby's and like how there's like murders and stuff, and like he's like 100% serious, but he's talking like this, and he's doing it on purpose, and it's like what, dude? And like they're conducting like a real interview.
Yeah, right. Like it's legit. I don't know. I think they find. Well, there was that guy. What was his name? And we talked. Like this, and he was at every interview. And it turned out he was at like all these cons. He was kind of strange.
I think it's the same. I think that's the same guy I'm thinking of too.
Or
Yeah.
if you think it was a couple years ago, some town in South Carolina, I believe,
He talked
saw
really
the leprechaun.
fast.
Oh, and that
I
like
didn't
there's
hear
like all
that
the
one.
people in the news, and he's like, I saw the leprechaun.
It was on that tree.
Oh, oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. It was
If you've never, if you're,
it was in my episode. I think it was in my episode about leprechauns.
I think it was too, but for some reason it didn't register until you said it. Where I was like, oh my fucking god, I have seen that video.
and there's
Yeah,
a drawing
well,
of it. There's a
and it's
drawing of it. It's the worst drawing ever.
the Crichton. I think that's how you say it. The Crichton leprechaun.
I think
And
so.
that's
Yeah,
where it's like a
that's
dude
it.
wearing like a Tar Heels hat.
Yep.
And he's
Yeah.
like, I saw the tree. Yeah.
It was in that tree right there.
Y'all see the leprechaun?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That one. There's shirts with that like half
yeah.
weird
It
drawing
made
and
its
things on
rounds
it.
for sure.
Oh, it comes
It
back
made its rounds
every
everywhere.
St. Patty's Day. I end up seeing it again.
Oh my God. Yeah. And again, you find this like weird niche within the whole community to
Yep.
represent what's happening. Why?
Mhm. Yeah. Why? Just why?
Like
Or
find
the other
that
thing
find that
too,
one
Tom
level-headed
DeLonge,
person.
like Blink 182. Everybody knows Blink 182.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay,
But
it could be anybody, but you choose to be like Children of the Stars or whatever the group he's in charge of, or like this
Angels and
UFO thing.
Airwaves. Angels
Yep.
and Airwaves. I
Yeah,
love
and
that
it's like,
band, but yeah.
wait a minute. Like, why did you choose
When he
him?
left Blink and he went to Angels and Airwaves,
Yep.
he like totally, oh my, I don't know what happened, man. I don't know if he
Yeah,
got
it's
off the drugs
crazy.
or on the drugs or whatever, but oh my goodness.
I just
Because,
thought it was wild that it's like, of all the people to head your organization, is
yeah,
Blink 182's Tom DeLonge?
you get the
Whoa.
goofball, like the
Yeah.
uber goofball of the whole group. Yeah.
Could I
It's
say
hard to
that I
take you
hated it?
serious.
No. I thought it was pretty cool, but I was a big
Right.
Blink 182 fan, so
Me too. Me too. I'm a Blink fan and I'm an Angels and Airwaves fan. But I'm a big music fan.
yeah.
I had that was a weird one. Every now and then you get these, they're already famous from something
Mhm.
else, and it's like, I don't know if they feel like they can be free and they can just like do whatever because they have the clout. I'm not sure.
You
But it's
got the
very
financial
strange.
backing too. Like you can literally do whatever you want at that point, and nobody's opinion of you really matters because it's like, even if I completely fall in
You're
the-
already rich.
I'm not putting myself that far back.
Right. They're like, because they're gonna get paid no matter what, especially someone like Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
But I will say some of the things I've listened to that he said, I'm like, you're kind of right.
100%. That's the other part where it's like, a lot of these normal people that are not completely like, I'm an astrophysicist and I have a chemical engineering background and a nuclear science degree, where it's like,
Right.
no, I sang for Blink 182. This is what I think is
And
why
now
this
I'm an
is.
alien advocate.
And it's like, you sound smarter than some of the experts. Like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he probably had a lot of time. Think about you're going from place to place on bus to bus, and it's no different than sitting around on your off time. Only he literally has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Other
Well, I
than
mean,
sit
you just
and
did
research.
the Loveland Frog episode not that long ago, and you went to that convention too, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's almost like that too, because like when I went to Ghostorama, I got to mingle like with those dweebs. Like I got to meet them in person at Ghostorama and investigate with them, and it's like having having the experience to be able to share with groups of people that are of the same mindset is so valuable. It's
It
insane.
is. And you feel validated because you're like, I got to rub elbows with one of the authors of the keynote speaker. Although I will say, when I first started talking to him, I didn't know he was the keynote speaker. And
We
then he
do
got
that a
up on
lot.
stage and I was like, oh, well, he's cool.
Shit.
You know? Yeah.
I could have
I mean, he
totally
was.
networked a little
We were-
harder.
We were literally next to each other as I'm like putting putting my hand on his arm, like, so do you think the Loveland Frog is real?
Like,
And
hey.
yeah, I just as like another dude, because that's how I'm like, a 90-year-old
That's how we are
Polish
too. Where it's
grandma
like
in my
everybody's
brain.
approachable.
Yes, super approachable. And now, granted, I will say, there's some tables you go to. I don't know if it's because once you've had 5 seconds on TV, you think that you're the bomb.com, or
Been on
whatever
TV.
reason.
So
and you
I
get
don't
nuts.
think
I've
that.
been around too many people where they get that little bit of fame, and it's like,
Oh, a little bit. There
and
was
they immediately are like pedestaled, where it's like,
for
why?
no reason.
I've
And
been
that's
on Joe
kinda
Rogan.
not
I've
nice.
been on Investigation Discovery, and I've done a viral video. And I
Do
don't feel
we
any
ever
type
talk
of
about that
way.
shit? Not
Shouldn't
really.
change you. Yeah, it shouldn't change who you are. But there was a table of Bigfoot investigators that were there. I'm not going to name drop, but
Were
they
they
were
selling
there.
their footprints and everything, like their plaster molds and stuff?
No, I don't think
No,
they had
no.
those. They were just, it was really boring table. Like they just had a card
Really
and we're
boring
sitting there.
table.
I'm sorry, but have some
I-
flair, okay?
Right? Where it's
And
like,
and they're
approach
sitting
me.
there like this.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on now.
Our first convention last year,
We were
Ghostorama,
like confused on what to do, but then people would
we-
walk up and be like, "Hey, how's it going? You guys like
Even if
ghosts?"
you just talk to somebody, you're like, see a shirt, or maybe they're carrying, they bought something and they're walking, because usually you're walking around like this for 12 hours, and
Mhm.
make a conversation. Oh no, I walked up, I want to talk about Bigfoot. I got to like I was
Hey, you
so
want a
excited.
picture? Bye.
Not at all. They were like basically I was nothing. And
Like,
I
they just
just
looked up, looked down.
yeah, and I'm like,
That's
is it
so
because I'm
bullshit.
one of the few people that, are presentable? Like, I don't understand that.
Right.
But whatever. I just moved on, and there were so many other ones. Like, I finally got to meet people that I either
And
already
they're probably the
followed.
most fantastic people you got to
They were
talk to.
so funny. They were hilarious.
Yep.
And there was one of the artists I follow, and you never see his face on his Instagram. You only see his art. So I was looking for literally a man in a mask with like a shirt on. And I must have walked past this booth like 2 or 3
Quite a
times.
few times, yeah.
And then I walked by and I recognized all the
You hit
art
the
on the table. And I was like, are you Clyde? You could tell he was
Yeah.
like, oh boy.
Here we go.
And I have a piece of his art on my wall because
That's
I just
awesome.
love it. And I was like a fangirl for the whole time, even though it was the first time of me in the wild as the host
Right.
of Creepy Confidential. Usually I'm just, an average person walking around.
Yeah,
So it took
that's the hardest part is differentiating where it's like, I'm not trying to do the persona, but I also kind
but
of
I
do
need
have a
to.
persona.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah,
I get
like
really confused. Like my mind and my body is like, I have
right.
this whole online persona of
body's
being the host of
telling
What Goes Bump
My
Tonight, but in my head, I'm
mind's
just Riley. So it's
Yeah. People will ask me all the time, like, how's your pod going? It's like, I mean, it's doing
Oh yeah, I have a
podcasting.
podcast.
Like, yeah, it's like,
Well, and that was my problem. I would walk up and I just talk about the art. I was like, "Oh my god!" And she's like literally drawing, and I just want to see what she's doing. And meanwhile, my husband's like, "Tell him who you are, Mrs. Creep."
yeah.
You
I
know,
have such a bad habit of not introducing myself where it's
that's
like, oh
me.
shit, or like my wife, I'll be like, that's Jenna. That like
Yeah.
20 minutes into a conversation, like, oh yeah.
By the way, this is and
Yeah,
I
she's been talking to you
miss so
too, but
many
she's too afraid to say anything.
And I think I miss opportunities that way because I meet so many cool people that's like, oh my gosh, we should swap ideas. What do you think about this cryptid? What do you think about this alien? Oh my gosh, you're a ghost hunter, and I think you miss so many opportunities that way. But I have to get better about that.
I know. I get pretty easily starstruck. So like if I definitely am like I feel super like, oh, I've got this one down. I know who you are. I might not know you, but I feel like I
Yeah,
know you. So
but
now
I
I'm
feel
like
like I
coming
know
at it
you. Yeah,
112%. It's
yeah.
like, oh shit.
See, for us, like I've gained like a lot of confidence in our show and like it's the community
I
in
hate
general,
social
the
media.
paranormal community. Like everyone's so receptive and like willing to work with other people because
I
they know
agree.
that no one's ever going to capture the
I
best
agree.
evidence ever, right? No one's
right.
ever going to. So we might as well experience it with other people.
Yeah,
And we all
and
know
swap
some
notes.
people, yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And new techniques and
We are
new
all part of the
investigation
same
strategies.
cookie cutter. We're just cooked a little differently.
Right.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think I wish that all the podcasts and all this, it's like this is take the time to talk to somebody else because you might like I've learned about things from you guys, or you might have listened to something that you want to ask me about. And I think that's our opportunity, our talking point, so that you can talk to each other. But oh man, some people just don't want to talk.
And that was a big problem for us. So props to you
People
for,
seem
having
super afraid to talk.
a newer show and, wanting to be on other shows and be guests
I
and
would even
such.
say we were kind of like afraid to branch out at first to speak with other people outside of our friend groups because it was like,
Right.
well, how do I relate to these people?
Yeah.
Well, then
And
again,
we didn't realize that we're going to relate with everyone because we're talking about paranormal. Like everyone that's into this
You're
has a
amongst
story.
friends here.
Yeah.
I think this is an opportunity for everybody to talk about it, like we said, what did you have? What happened to me? What happened over here? And you can build a case together
yep.
by doing that. I think I wish more people would do that
I agree.
in general.
So would you say that you travel often? So like how you went to that I guess you'd call it a convention, but like would you say that you've gone like out of state to do other things like that? Like have you ever been like West Virginia or like the Appalachias at all or anything like that?
I have. I was just thinking about that.
Hell
So
yeah.
we recently went to there's a little festival in Helvetia, West Virginia called Fashnacht.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever I know it's
Never
different.
heard of it.
I've never heard of it. If you've ever played the game Fallout,
Yes.
the newer Fallout,
Yep.
so that festival is actually featured in that video game, Fashnacht,
Really?
where they wear the masks like
No
that.
shit, like the power armor, like suit looking stuff.
That's
Yep.
in the game, but Fashnacht is
I-
it's crazy. So we actually made the trip there, and it is
Mhm.
in the mountains. It is
Oh, I love it.
literally this small of a town. I have never been able to look at the sky, and it is.
So
you
is
can
it
see
literally
every
just
single star.
forest everywhere you look? around the mountains,
Everywhere.
too?
Like we
That's
went
so
up,
awesome.
down, over. Thank God we were in a 4Runner because it was crazy to get there. Like
Damn.
Appalachian homes that have probably been there for generations. And this is a tiny little town. And now that Fallout has happened, they're trying to handle all these new people coming.
Yep.
So
I mean,
we
shoot,
traveled
yeah.
there, and people build these paper mache masks, and
That's
it's
so cool.
basically there's a small immigrant town that's formed there. They make these masks to scare off winter, and then at the end of the night, they take their effigy of Father Winter and they chuck him in a bonfire.
That's so
And-
awesome.
And
Burn
it's
'em.
just, and then when they're done, there's this tiny little chapel that's right next to this huge bonfire. And they're just getting down in there. All like, they got the mandolin, they got the fiddle, they got the bull bass, they got
Oh my
everything.
God, yes.
And I'm in there just taking in the culture. And you look down, and there's these two gents dancing. They don't have any shoes on. And I don't think they've worn shoes for a very long time. And they're just having a blast. And
All
I
I
made a
can hear in
mask.
my
I
head is,
made.
West Virginia.
Yeah, West
Oh,
Virginia.
mama, take me home.
And I thought to myself, I want to be part of this event. I don't just want to go.
Yeah.
So I made a huge mask of the Flatwoods monster, a paper mache mask, and it had eyes that lit up and everything. And I wore this mask, and it was a showstopper. As soon as I put it on, everybody wanted a picture of me because it's a local cryptid. I
I'm
love
sure
the
there's
Flatwoods
pictures
monster
on your
story.
socials too where we can find this
Oh,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I was gonna say you guys
Yeah.
should check it out.
Absolutely. So I wore this mask, and there's actually a picture of there's a video of me in my Braxy mask, like getting hoedown, like dancing with my little lights on and everything. The people loved it. And then the next it goes. I did not burn my mask. A big tradition is that they also you get rid of your mask so that
Oh, but
you
you
can
put
make a new
time
one.
and effort.
And I was like, I just don't want to get rid of it.
I
Just
can't
yet.
part with this. It's my
And
first one.
and I love the Flatwoods Monster so
Yep.
much. So the next day, we were really close to the Flatwoods Monster Museum, and it's like 40 minutes from Helvetia, from
Mm.
where we were, 45 minutes. And we went into the Flatwoods Monster Museum, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many cool things in there. It's a small little, it used
Yeah.
to probably be like a soda jerk place, but
Right.
now it's a little museum. And I noticed in the back wall, they have pieces that have been made by people that are the Flatwoods Monster. And I start talking to the lady, and I'm like, do you want to see my mask?
Oh,
Like, I'm
hell
so
yeah.
excited about it. And I walk in, and they actually they took I was like, do you want my mask? And now it's sitting in the Flatwoods Monster Museum.
Really?
And
That's so cool.
Yeah. And it's
That's
a big,
awesome.
huge Braxy mask. And the eyes light up and everything. I put electricals in the eyes.
Yep.
And yeah, it has my little card with it and everything. So there's a little piece of Creepy Confidential that forever lives in the Flatwoods Monster Museum. It's
I
very
want
cool.
anybody that is in like later on down the road that listens to this that might be from the area or whatnot, please take a
Nubs.
picture. Exactly. Take a picture, tag us both in it. I want to see it in there still. That's so awesome.
Nubs,
had
if you end up
so much
watching this,
fun.
do that for us. He lives in West Virginia. So
Yeah, it was a lot of. I think it was cool because you have no cell phone reception there at
Oh, I
all.
couldn't imagine.
So it makes you disconnect and be part of the event. So
I
when
wish
you're
everywhere
there,
was like that.
you get to. We have a picture with Father Winter, and you can. I was dancing with the locals and pictures with other people, and it was a lot of fun just to disconnect and
I
be a part
bet.
of this crazy event.
That's
And it's
amazing.
so small. This tiny little town in the the bottom of the mountains, and everyone's just getting down to like old school
That's so
West
cool.
Virginia
What makes me even
musicians.
more intrigued at all that too is like I don't think anybody really realizes how deep like some of the stories and like just traditions run in the mountain
Oh
towns of
yeah.
Appalachia. It's wild. It is
It is
wild.
wild. Yeah, and that's what I found so interesting is that you can literally go where the Flatwoods Monster is, and somebody still in that town still knows about it. You know,
Yep.
it's crazy. You can still see the school. You can still go and look at everything in the town. They have these huge Braxy like chairs you can sit in
Mhm.
and get a picture with it. Yeah, you just have to immerse yourself in that's as far as I've gone as West Virginia.
Yeah.
But I like to go further. I really want to go
Same with
further.
us. We're like, we want to be like anywhere and everywhere. Like there's so many different like penitentiaries and like
See, that's big
asylums
for
and
me.
stuff. That is so
That's awesome.
fucking awesome.
Isn't that
That is
awesome?
so well done too.
And I had so much fun doing it. It was a blast.
Oh my god.
That's
And
so
the
cool.
eyes light up. And then when it was in the museum, there I am.
That's so awesome.
So it sits on the wall in the back, and I'm forever a part of the Flatwoods Monster Museum.
That is so awesome.
That's really cool.
I'd say I'm a little jealous, to be honest. I want one of our stuff to end up in a museum. That's so cool.
I think one day
I worked on
Jenna's
this,
photo
and
of
I
the
like
research
to
will
really.
be in-
Everybody chooses different masks. You know, like you
Yeah.
can. They have like a tiny little museum. It's actually the post office in this tiny little town, and they have the museum of masks. It's probably
I'm
only
sure like
half of it.
Mothman's in there too.
And I got a picture. There was a dude that did Mothman, but he did like the whole thing. And I
Oh,
got
yeah.
a picture with him. It felt like the paparazzi. All of a sudden, they saw Mothman and Braxy standing next to each other. West Virginia? Are you kidding me? Everyone
Like,
went
stop it.
crazy. And I didn't know what to do. And actually, of all people, so these dudes walk up to me and they're like, "Hey, can we get a picture with you?" And the guy stands next to me and I get a picture and I'm looking at him going, "Damn, this dude looks familiar. Like, there's no way. I'm in Helvetia, West Virginia. There's no
You're
way."
like, what? How?
It was the host of Moth Boys.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's wild. Of
They
course they
never
would be
saw my
there.
face. All they saw, because they're like sponsored by
Yeah.
like West Virginia.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I
So
don't
all
know
they
that.
saw was my mask. So then when I went to the Frogman Festival,
Mhm.
I was like, I gotta find them and actually
I
like
have to talk.
introduce myself, like so they know who the hell I am.
Oh my
And all I
God.
did, I went up to the table and I'm like, "Hi, how nice to meet you. I'm, so and so." And then they can tell they're like, "Oh my God,
What's
who is this lady?"
happening?
And I went, "I'm Braxy." And they were super cool. So it was so weird to meet a fellow, in the middle of this tiny little town,
Yeah.
this tiny little festival, and meet somebody that's in the world of what we do. It
It's
was
so
really
funny you
cool.
say that because we met one of our good friends now. It's a paranormal investigator.
Tommy Toonstone, he was in the chat earlier.
And I was not able to go on this investigation, so Riley can tell the story, but it's super funny how they met.
Yeah, so me, my
The
friend
cats are
Alex,
fighting.
and our
Sorry.
other investigated Chase, we're investigating Utica Cemetery. I mentioned it earlier, but we were leaving, and this car was driving by, and it was kind of acting kind of sus. And we're probably looking pretty sus ourselves, not gonna lie. And they whip around and they see us walking to this like car lot that's next door to the cemetery because that's where we parked our cars. We should have just drove inside. We know better now.
Right.
But they pull up and they're like, "Hey, what you guys paranormal investigating the cemetery?" And this is like 3 a.m. They're just
You're
getting there. And we're like, "Yeah." It was pretty
Cops!
wild night. And then we ended up being in that video on Tommy's channel for like it's literally like 15 seconds.
But you're there.
But yeah, that's how we met. I met Tommy, and now that was like 3
Now
years
I've
ago.
done 2 investigations with him. Like we're good friends. Like we're supposed to go on another investigation at some point together. Why are you yelling at me?
He says X-nay on
I'm
the
not giving
on the
any
info
information.
A
away.
collab
Other
is
than
happening.
We're collaborating at some point again because we've said this multiple times.
Well, I want to go to. There is so much in the Wisconsin and Michigan area, and
Yep.
I need to. That's where my eyes are on next.
There's
I really
one
wanna
here
go.
that we have our eyes set on, which is a World War II ship that made its way through D-Day and is now docked on the shoreline of our hometown, not even 3 minutes away from my house.
I see it like every day.
Cool.
And it's like that would be a really, really fun one. And one of our previous guests, I would even call
Last
him
week's.
a mentor, Danny, unrestricted. he has done investigations on the LST ship, which it's basically a troop transport ship, but it did see combat, and it was at D-Day on D-Day. So
That's cool.
he was telling us all the stories about how well he would, you know, I don't know if the person, I think he did say that his contact retired, so it's a new person now, but they would let them pay to stay there for 3 nights.
3 nights. Yeah.
And they would turn the boilers on. They could sleep on the ship and do their full investigations. And it's like,
that's cool.
Dude, that's sweet. Like, super sweet. Not only just because I'm a big history buff too, just like Danny was, but it's like, you're sleeping on a ship that was in the European theater of war. That is one of the most crazy events ever to do anything on this earth.
Isn't it the only ship it sunk it ran into?
Yeah, and it had one sunken ship, and it was 100% a fishing boat that ran into it. So it's like the only deaths that were attributed to it was 100% an accident. But it was also,
but it still counts.
What was it? Prisoners of war. The medical
people did die on it.
So yeah, there tons of history. There's tons of memorabilia on it. There's like, not only that, like Muskegon itself was a big logging town back in its heyday, and there's still Victorian style homes that are original, that are just downtown.
Well, there's Mr. Hackley's homes that I really want to investigate, because apparently he may have had a bunch of Confederate gold, and it may be buried in this very town.
Yeah, if you heard of what is it? The one island where like Treasure
Island, yeah,
is what
I think that's Oak Island.
Oak Island, that's what it is.
Yeah.
There's ties to Hackley and Hume having their fingers in the gold that is technically supposed to be Oak Islands. So it's a super interesting web of stuff.
I love stuff like that. And I think military, I was stationed in Charleston, South Carolina, and there's also a ship that's there called the Yorktown. It's a carrier, and then they have like a little cluster of other ones. There's
yeah, it was at the Battle of Midway. That's one of the biggest ones.
There's big ones there, and I loved it because you would have like the tour. If you were in like civilian clothes, then they would give like a certain kind of tour. If you showed up in your uniform,
and your fatigues,
you get Navy doesn't really have fatigues, but whatever.
Yeah, I hope people understand what I'm getting at. I was never in the military.
Yeah.
So to answer those Deeb's question,
just the weeps.
How do you go about giving permission? The
We
best
just
way
ask.
to do that is ask the people who own the building.
What our new tactic
Go
is
right to
going
the
to be
source.
to write a formal letter and bring business cards. That's
In
probably the best way
writing.
to go about
Do
it.
that, or a lot of there's a lot of locations you can literally just contact them and book a date and pay a deposit. They'll hold your date. The day of, you got to pay the remainder of the deposit. So it's just like booking a venue for like a wedding or anything like that.
You're renting it essentially.
You just rent out the building, and
Mhm.
there are some buildings that are very expensive, and there's other buildings that are cheap. But of course, they usually have a capacity that you're allowed to bring.
So Bobby Mackey's is 700 a night, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But you can only have up to like 10 people, which is
And
still, you
get
break
it
that
for
down.
I'm not
6
messing
hours
with
or
that joint.
something.
We really want to go there, but we've also heard a lot of malarkey about it. But
Yeah.
to wind all back into
Right.
what is the difference did you get to experience the civilian tour and then the military tour too?
I did. Yeah,
Awesome.
because we went there as like, because when you're there, you have like you're going to school all the time or you're doing whatever. And then when you're off, you can just like wander around. So we drove down there and we just had regular, because you really don't want to wear your uniform all the time.
Right. I couldn't imagine.
You need a break because it's, it's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
when you
tight.
I mean, I ironed my creases like all the time.
I'll say I've known enough
So
military friends that their beds are like, dude, how'd you do that?
Yeah, it needs to look good. Like I had friends that they looked like they rolled around in a bucket of quarters before they got out, but that's besides the point. And if you would take a few minutes and put on like your uniform, it was always the older people. It's like retired. These dudes were on the ship, or they were on like another ship that's parked outside, and they would talk to you about everything. You would learn about what's haunted. You would learn about what happened because they were there. They were actually there because they can't tell a lot of civilian stories because, then they'll get the news and things like that.
Yeah.
But when you're a fellow veteran, or even at the time, I was active duty, then you get the cool stuff. And
Oh
if
yeah.
you just sit down and talk to them, hey, have a thing of popcorn and just sit down on the flight deck and start shooting the breeze, you learn about all kinds of cool stuff.
That's so interesting. So when you were active military, were you on like a battleship or were you?
No, I was always on land. I didn't get
Were you?
on yeah, I wish, but
I know.
I got
I
this
always
far.
say like an aircraft carrier to me would be amazing because like I don't think people really understand the magnitude of how big
How
they are.
large
Oh
they
my
are,
God,
yeah.
they're huge. Yeah,
Shoot,
I
I've
mean,
never
they're
even seen one.
literally a
So
floating city. It's insane, and they can do everything. Everything.
That's so
If you need
insane.
surgery, if you need your teeth pulled, if you need to fix something, they have their own machine shop. I mean, stuff happens all the time,
Yeah.
and it's crazy how big they are. I'm a what's called a dig it. Like I absolutely love everything about it. I'm
I
like,
always
look at
said
that
too,
ship.
like
Look what they're doing.
I was always a big fan of like if I would have done military, the Air Force for me would have been pretty cool because I really was into aviation. I really loved planes. But now that I've gotten older, I'm like just the vast number of Navy men that have come forward and said, I've seen objects coming out of the ocean that I have no business seeing. And
Right.
like just or like just being out at sea
the whole
like
ship was
that.
stocked for 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, like living on Lake Michigan, being a fellow Lake Michigan
Yep.
neighbor, it's wonderful being on the
I grew up
water. Like
swimming in Lake Michigan.
exactly, like it's wonderful. Granted, like we're on fresh water, which is different, but it is so peaceful to be out on open water. Yes, if you
I'm
are
sure the ocean isn't
fearful,
always
but yeah.
peaceful, but
But even I went to Wisconsin when I was a kid on the ferry across.
Dells.
And
The
oh my
ferry.
God, the water was so goddamn choppy, but and like everybody was freaking out, but I was like, this is fucking cool. I was like, dude, we're on a roller coaster on
Yeah.
water. I can
Oh my
swim. Like I might not make it very far, but
there's a ferry that goes from like the upper Door County area over to a little island. Of course, now it escapes me. It's where there's like one of those Icelandic churches that's out there. It's
ooh,
super
that sounds
creepy looking.
cool.
And I really want in the water. It was so bad. I went on to where the ferry is. I couldn't physically get my door open. The wind
Oh
was
my
so
God.
bad. And
That's
they
like the
canceled all the
Mackinac Bridge
ferries.
for us going to the UP. On
It's
days
bad.
that it's bad up there,
They
like
shut that thing
it's
down.
super
They
fucking
just shut it
scary.
down. Yeah. And that's if the water is that choppy and you know that so many ships have gone down. Like if you go out there when it's calm, you're gonna see something.
Like
Yeah.
You're gonna see something.
the Superior Strait, when winds hit that strait,
It's
Oh, it's
dangerous.
crazy.
Yeah, it is dangerous. And people don't realize, they're like, oh, it's one of the Great Lakes. I'm like, those waters are worse than the
Not only
ocean
that,
sometimes.
people will argue with me about the Great Lakes having ghost ships. No, they 100% do.
Yeah,
I don't care
it's
how
so
big the lake
vast.
is. Like
And
it's bigger than you can.
Michigan's so big, like Lake Michigan. You can be on one side and you don't see the other.
Yes, no way.
It looks
There's
like
no
the
way.
ocean. Yeah. Oh man, I'd freak out.
it's what
If I
what
saw
what 5 miles
Mhm.
apart in its longest section.
It's longer
It's
than that.
huge.
I'm
It's
pretty sure
huge.
it's longer than that. But yeah, like you said, you can't
200
see it
200 miles?
across. I don't even know. I'd have to look it up. But like the Great Lakes
Yeah.
themselves are wild because it's like it's not connected to the oceans, but it has its own like currents and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's like we have our like how do I want to say this? How there's literally like
118 miles.
around the meridian and whatnot. Nice, you're almost spot on. Like how there's like the giant currents that will literally they're the veins of the world basically. We
Mhm.
have those in Lake Michigan. They're just
And
smaller.
in random area, right?
Yep.
And there's a lake. It's not a Great Lake, but within Wisconsin, it's kind of in part of these little inlets. But it's
Yep.
big. A Lake Winnebago is like that, and that's where
Winnebago.
the Lake Winnebago monster is
Ooh,
cryptid,
I've never
lives
heard that one.
there, and they
Listen
think
to our
it's a
episode.
gigantic sturgeon, like a big, huge sturgeon. But that baby's been living there since the natives were there. So
It could
even
be a
in lakes
fish.
that are smaller, they think it's a sturgeon. Like the people that are trying to debunk it think it's because
Oh,
those things look
really?
like dinosaurs. That
What did
it's
they
basically a
call that
huge one.
one Native American creature? There was also another one that me and him looked at, and we were gonna do an episode, but we forgot about it all like completely. But it was like the otter with antlers, and it was like electric, but it lived in the Great Lakes. I know it sounds super funky, but it's
Gonna
like
need to hear about that.
it was a Native American thing, I'm pretty sure, because it also what they also said the Thunderbird.
Yeah, that's a
like,
popular one.
yeah,
Thunderbird.
it was also in that classification.
Nice.
So it's
Yes, he's
like,
got it inked.
I wonder. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. I'll have to look it up again and then post it on social media later down the line. But yeah, it was a really cool.
I'm so
picture I saw.
tempted because I have like 2 or 3 cryptid books behind me that
I love it. Yeah, I literally don't remember at all for the life of me, but I can picture it. It looks like a tiger stripe.
I know. I remember the picture you're talking about. I don't remember what it's
like
called.
like long-bodied,
It's coming
antlered
back
up,
to me now,
like an
but I don't
otter-looking
remember.
thing, and it was 100% in the same classification as what the Thunderbird is. And I was like,
That's interesting. See, and that's part of it too, is you have these cryptids, and then you'll get one that's kind of in the same vein, but it's in like a slightly different area.
Yep.
So is it just because the stories played telephone essentially, and then
Yeah,
by the time
I
it got
wonder
over
that a
here, this is
lot.
what it looks like.
Because
Yeah.
like you think about
'Cause
it,
you get
like
very similar things.
well, even like the passage of time changes perceptions of things as well. So immediately you see it, then your story sounds like that. You might not ever see it again or even hear anything else about it. But because you go living the next 20 years of your life and you see other things that you might associate to it slightly, well, now your story might change inadvertently because now you have a different perspective of it.
Right. You've put in other pieces of information that
Mhm.
inadvertently changed it.
Yeah, so like how we get all these like people saying, "Well, I saw this alien. It had eyelashes. That one didn't. That one had neon eyes. That one had black eyes."
I just
The
imagine
fact that
like
he
a
said
dude
that
that
you
looks
could
like
see
this.
eyelashes in the dark from like 30 yards is like
Right.
ridiculous to me.
Like, how do you see? Do they have like those falsies
Must have
that are
been
like
massive.
Dude, I was
Like,
literally gonna
yeah.
say he
Like-
must have the fake ones.
Like
that are
furry, like furry eyelashes from like
Yeah.
a furry.
Oh my, like a snuffleupagus? Like that's what it looks like.
Furby,
Is a
that's what I was
snuffleupagus.
thinking. Not a furry. Furry are people that dress up in costumes.
Yeah, I was like, that's a totally different subject, my dude.
That's a whole different animal.
That worm's for another night.
Furby.
I'm gonna need more in this glass to
That's
talk about.
now every time I see that Las Vegas alien thing, I'm just gonna think Furby. I think that's what they
Dude, let's
saw
just
was a
make
giant
shirts.
Furby.
Oh my god, those videos of the Furbies going off in the middle of the night. Do you guys remember Furbies?
So terrifying.
Yeah. How old are you guys?
28.
I'm 30.
Okay, so you're not that far. Those things are crazy scary.
Yeah, I
hate
grew up
them.
with Furbies.
I
Like
had,
the tail end
I
of
had
them,
like
but
3
yeah.
or 4 of them.
Or
Nope, not me.
Tamagotchis too. My
Not a single
Tamagotchi 100% did some shit it definitely was not programmed to do. And it said words on it. And I am 100% sure that it wasn't supposed to say those words.
It's possessed.
I don't think so. But like, it was something where I was like, weird. You know, possessed doll, possessed toys. I don't know. Then again, you get all these creepy ass dolls like Annabelle or these porcelain dolls that are like have these attachments to them. It's like, I really want to believe it because that'd be cool, but it's also like it's a little obscure.
But it's scary because it's
It
like
is scary,
it's
though.
there. Yeah, it's like it's either sitting in your room or yeah. It's crazy.
I remember
I don't like those.
the first time I got really hammered and spent the night at Riley's house at his parents. In their basement, they had one of those display cabinets, and I'm not even joking. Right, there was probably like 35
More
of
than
them.
that.
There
There
was
like close to 100 porcelain dolls.
and they were all antique. Not like they were not anywhere near how old I am. They were much older, and it was like there
We're
was
like my age.
You'll have some of them.
not even older than that, like much older, like my great grandma's age.
We had this one
Yeah.
that was super creepy.
But you know, like the eyes would track you. Would
Yeah.
make sense, and like you would always get that
Mhm.
feeling of being watched.
The old lady.
The old lady one in particular, and there were times that Riley would be like in his room and I'd be out in the living room sleeping, and then all of a sudden I would hear something like moving or shuffling around. It's like I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not
Have fun,
looking
kid.
either.
So my parents also like one time bought this clock because it the company was a Clark clock. My last name is
A Clark
Clark.
clock.
So they bought it, and after we had bought it, we had a line of unfortunate things happen to our family. Like my mom was in a car accident that she
Cursed
almost died
object.
in, and
This was
we
somewhat
went,
recent
like,
too.
financial hard times, and just like everything that could go wrong in someone's life was going wrong
It
in
just
all
seemed
of
like
our
letting these
lives.
snippets on series of unfortunate events was
And
way
like
too
weird
real.
shit was happening at the house all the time, and eventually we ended up as a family we decided that we were going to get rid of the
Need to
clock.
go.
And guess what happened after the clock went?
Everything changed after we got rid of the clock.
Everybody's like moods went up. Everybody was much more approachable. Like it was wild. There was a period of time where like me and like another one of our really close friends was like, "Is he okay?" Like I can tell he's down, but like this is not like him.
Yeah.
It was really, we don't
It was
know the
interesting, that's
story
for
behind the
sure.
clock or anything. All I know is it was a Clark clock. It was from like the 1800s from France. Their last name was Clark. They created a clock
I
company.
love cursed
We ended up
objects.
with it.
Me
I think
too.
they're so interesting.
So
They're
do you
just so
believe in
interesting.
Dybbuk boxes then?
That
Or do you
one's
think
tricky.
somebody made that up and is like, I'm cashing in?
Yeah, I think they did. I think it started as like maybe an elder within a family creating something to like don't do this or this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like grandpa with the Yeti, like
Yep,
it's,
yep.
I have a hard time with that because when you open it, it's just trinkets, it's not, I don't know. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved watching the episode where they were going to open the Dybbuk box, but
Did you read that comment though?
no, thank you.
The clock gave you a bad time.
It did. It gave me a bad time.
Dude, I love these dad jokes so much because what was the one that you said?
Oh yeah. Okay. So paranormal investigator walks into a building, gets booed out.
Oh my god. Wah, wah, wah.
So bad. I love these jokes so much because they're so stupid, but like they're so funny. It's like, is that my child humor coming out? I don't know.
It is. It is.
But before it gets too late, I think it should be time to wrap it up. And
I think there's probably about like 30,000 more things we
this
could talk about. 'cause
definitely
I
will
could
not be
go
the
all
last
night.
time that you will be a guest on our show. Matter of fact, we'll be a guest.
A ghost.
Oh, we might be a ghost. We don't know. We will be a guest on your show on the
27th?
27th.
27th.
Yep.
Yes.
On
Yep.
Reaping
Same bat
Confidence.
time. Same bat channel. You guys will be over on my side.
All you
Well,
creeps and confidants
Yep.
and our night crew are going to
The creep
link
crew.
and create
Creep
one of
crew.
the craziest
Creeps
late night
unite.
talks.
She's in.
Seal of
She's in.
approval.
Oh my god. I thought you fell asleep, to be honest with you.
Again, thank you so much for coming onto the show
Yeah,
and
this is
spending
wonderful.
almost 3 hours with us. It's been an absolutely incredible time sharing stories, talking about conspiracies and everything in between. You can find a Creepy and Confidential down below. I provided all of the links down in the description. So if you are not subbed, following, or
You
anything like that,
better.
be a good
You
person.
should.
Go do that.
If, like I said at the top of the episode, if you want something refreshing that's super, super well put together, it is 100% candy to my ears, and the facts are
Oh.
so good. This
Thank
is a podcast for you.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Like I said, I binged all day and I was thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah.
Well, there's gonna be more.
Even she goes, I really like her voice.
Yay! Thank you.
Oh my god. I really hope one day like we can like actually like meet in person and collab and like do a project together because
Yeah,
I
you're
think
not that
would be
far
a lot of
away.
fun.
Even
No, we
though
can just hop
you're
on a
not a
ferry.
Youper, so we'll be okay.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Yep.
We already have talked. Me and her have talked about wanting to go to Wisconsin
Yeah.
just to
I
go.
love.
so.
I go there I try and go as much as I can, but I'm in Ohio, so.
Oh yeah, you are in Ohio. We talked,
Yeah,
I
us-
forgot.
but
Sorry,
I mean,
we've been
like-
talking about Wisconsin so much.
I
We
was
never
gonna
even
say,
mentioned
my
Ohio.
heart.
Place, that is one thing that you can't ever like get away from. It's like
No.
that is my bread and butter. Like it's got my heart where it's like if we can collab on a project where we can get out of each other's hometowns, let's do it.
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely fantastic. And remember, folks, to keep your ears and eyes open for what really goes. Boom. In the night. Peace.
You guys are the best. We have the best fans. Creepy Confidential fans are the best. That is really cool.